And Holminster Switch was a really fantastic way to start off the expansion.
It paved the stone for new dungeons coming along.
The thing is, compare Holminster Switch to the other two starting dungeons. The starting dungeon of Stormblood was Siren Song Sea, and the starting dungeon of Heaven's War was, strictly speaking, it was Dusk Vigil, but you could miss that, and your starting dungeon would have been Somal instead. But either way, Holminster Switch is significantly better than Siren Song Sea, Somal, or Dusk Vigil. The music is fantastic, the set pieces are great, it carries much more importance to the story. The mechanics are also way cooler. For example, the pounding, the tantrum mechanic in the final boss of Holminster Switch, that is a mechanic that I would expect to see in like an extreme or a savage, not a dungeon. That's basically 3 mechanics layered on top of each other at once. Because essentially what the boss does is it does 2 attacks simultaneously. A 90-degree cone behind it, which hits its rear, and then a pair of marching AoEs in front of it when it slams its fists down. And then it turns and does it again, and it keeps turning and repeating until it does an entire 360 loop around the arena. So what you get is this ripple of marching AoEs, like Exaflare, going around the arena but you can't just run all the way around and ignore them, or else you'll be crushed by a tail swipe. So you're forced to actually handle it, and that was, it doesn't compare to some of the more interesting stuff in this game, like Panther. But for a tank, but for a dungeon, the mechanic was really impressive. Also, one other thing about the attacks for a lot of the more powerful Sin Eaters is that they're all named after old school torture devices or methods of crime and punishment. And I've even found out about a couple of new ones that I didn't know about, which have sickened and impressed me. I will say one thing: it's absolutely appalling. But at the same time, you've got to be impressed at the intelligence and ingenuity that some people have put into harming their fellow.
Yeah, well, we're always creative in that regard, human kind.
Let me see. The first boss has
Jesus Christ.
The first boss has the Brazen Bull, which I'm sure most people know about. But essentially, it was a hollow bronze bull used in early Greek society as a method of execution, where you would put a man inside the bull, and then put a fire under the bull and just leave the man in there, and he would eventually get cooked alive and die. It's widely considered one of the cruelest methods of execution. A fact about the Brazen Bull that you probably don't know actually is that the nostrils of the bull were actually open, and they were shaped kind of like a whistle. So the dying screams of the man trapped inside sounded like the baying and mooing of the bull when they echoed out of the Brazen Bull. Another ability that the first boss uses... the first boss is the Sin Eater that corrupts Tesleen, and the second boss was Tesleen herself. And I'm pretty sure that deeply upset everyone that ran that dungeon.
It did.
Yeah. Let me see. The other ones were the Heretic's Fork, which is the name of the attack that Brazen Bull actually does to you. What the Heretic's Fork is it's kind of like a collar or a yoke goes around the throat of someone being punished. This was used by the church, hence the name Heretic's Fork. And it has 2 spikes going upwards and 2 spikes going downwards. And these spikes, would puncture very, very slightly, only enough to draw a drop of blood, the bottom of your chin and the skin over your sternum. However, you were tied into like an awkward kneeling position when you had the Heretic's Fork on you, and you needed to hold yourself up, which obviously you couldn't do indefinitely because it was tiring. and if you tilted yourself back or looked upwards, the fork would spear into your sternum, and if you moved forwards or looked down, it would poke into your chin. So no matter how you moved, you would stab yourself. You had to remain perfectly still, and even obviously, what would happen was someone would get tired, poke themselves, scream in pain, and then because they screamed, they would impale their chin.
Nice.
Great.
And,
thanks for that education, ladies.
There's also the bridles. I will stop if you want me to stop.
We should probably move on just for time constraints, if nothing else.
For hours.
This keeps going, but it honestly, it does set the tone very well for how awful these Sin Eaters are. Actually, no, one other one that I do have to cover is because I can cover it quickly, is the Tank Buster in the second fight, the Tickler. A lot of people were joking about that because they were like, oh, why would a Tank Buster be called the Tickler? The Tickler's full name is the Spanish Tickler. And it is a set of hooked blades on the end of a stick, which were used to strip the skin off a man's back. Essentially, you would be hung up by your hands, and then the tickler would be dragged across your back to flay your skin. It's called the Spanish tickler because it was used by the Spanish Inquisition.
I think
no one expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Anyway, yeah, Homage the Switch is
dark.
An awesome dungeon with very, very unpleasantly dark overtones.
Yeah, I would just like to add, even if it is just the standard linear dungeon, like the landscape around after you beat the first boss, it was breathtaking and refreshing. Like, holy shit.
The thing, actually, also, and I guess this isn't particularly relevant to the topic at hand, but the complaint I see about the linear dungeons that a lot of people have is that you're going to be rerunning these dungeons lots of time. If your dungeon requires backtracking, it may be interesting the first time, but it's just going to be really annoying every time you rerun it. And not only that, but if you have the fact that the dungeons are linear allow them to actually put time and effort into making the best experience possible.
Yeah.
We had non-linear dungeons in the past, and there's a reason why the developers don't still do it. I can understand the complaint, but I actually think it's a better thing that the dungeons are linear, because it makes repeating them a less frustrating experience, and also means that the devs can focus on making them the best quality they can be.
I mean, most people that have played this game are still to this day have not discovered all the parts of Haku Manor, because why would you?
Hi.
It literally took me a year and a half to find out that there's a second room on the top floor.
Yep. I still haven't discovered all of Haku Manor.
I did it once with one group that wanted to do it. They even asked, like, can we do a full completion of the map? Yeah, sure, I want that too.
The thing is, there are non-linear dungeons in this game, and no one gives a shit about them, because people don't actually want non-linear dungeons.
No.
They say they want, but they've got them in the past. People don't care.
No, they don't.
Anyway,
But I would probably
back to Shadowbringers.
Yeah, I would probably rank this dungeon top 5, top 10 of the entire game. It was so a fresh wind. The mechanics, as you say, Variel, they were harder than we were used to. The trash mobs actually felt like you had to deal with it. They hurt.
Oh yeah, like we've discussed this already at the start of the podcast, but tanking and healing in this expansion just seems more difficult as a whole because everything hits so fucking hard. Like I've regularly seen my friends die in dungeons, and they're not bad.
About that one later. When we get to a certain dungeon, I would love to share my experience in that one.
Yeah, thing is, I would say Homage the Switch would be in the top 10 if it wasn't for the fact that every other dungeon in Shadowbringers is even.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think the twinning is actually my favorite dungeon in this entire game.
So you finish Homage the Switch. We kill the first Light Warden, which that is a monstrosity to look at.
All of the Light Wardens are horrible.
It's totally not bad.
And then the dungeon is over, and we get basically the end of Act 1. We get the we see what we're actually achieving, and we get the title, Shadowbringers.
Well, no. What we actually learned is that Light Wardens, once they die, their ether gets released and turns into another Light Warden.
And that's why no one's killed any of the Light Wardens.
But
Oh yeah, someone in the comments brought up the fact that they missed their 20% mitigation for tank stance. You still have that.
You
It's
have
just
that.
no longer part of your tank stance. It's always on.
yeah,
So
it's
I
a
think-
trait.
Yeah, I think that really just goes to show how fucking hard everything is now hitting.
Angel, can you quickly go on your stream, put on a tank, and show tank mastery? It's in your traits.
Tank mastery.
Yep, go to any tank. It's in your traits.
Tank mastery reduces the damage taken by 20%. Furthermore, grants a bonus to maximum HP based on your vitality attribute and bonus damage dealt to your strength attribute. Level 1 trait.
Yes, and every tank has that.
Yeah.
But you learn the Light Wardens, and you learn that as you have the Blessing of Light, you can actually absorb and hold the light of the Light Warden.
So essentially, this is why nothing better has happened. Anytime anyone kills a Light Warden, it just body snatches them.
Yes.
And that does actually become a very important point in the next area. But after Holminster switch,
Night comes back to Latelands.
yes, Night actually comes back to Lakeland. One of the things that I do appreciate, because the thing is, one of the issues that I've always had in a lot of MMOs is that as you progress the story, it doesn't feel like anything's actually changing.
Yes.
Like, for example, I remember playing, like, this happened in early WoW, but I'm going to use Wizard 101 because I actually played that unlike WoW. You do, like, this long quest to help, like, the guys that you're working with force the enemies out of an area, but then they're all just still there. Nothing's actually changed. One of the things that I appreciate is when you kill the Light Wardens in the story, the weather cycle actually returns to that area.
Yes.
So there's an actual feeling of change and progression in the world.
It's really lucky though that we managed to kill the Light Warden at night, right?
Yeah, every time.
Every time.
I always found that really funny whenever I killed one.
Yeah.
It'd be like, it would switch to night, and then immediately the cutscene after that would be during like the middle of the day.
If
Well,
I'm
time
correct,
flows differently on the first shard, actually.
So, if I'm correct, after you brought Night back, you go back to Crystarium and meet a lovely friend.
He's back, boys!
Here's
What?
Emmett Selsh! Or
You
Solus, or
No,
whatever.
you don't meet him yet. You
Oh.
don't meet him just yet. You actually meet Ardbert first.
Oh yeah!
Ah! Yes, the Warrior of Darkness.
The leader, the original Darkness. And Jesus Christ, he makes me sad, my boy.
He
Because-
is a good character.
The only thing Ardbert ever did wrong was doing his job too well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
Anyway, you find out that Ardbert is all of Ardbert's friends are dead, and they're actually dead. Their
Yeah.
spirits have faded away, and Ardbert himself is the only one left. and
Who's in
he's-
spirit form
Yeah, he's trapped in this hellish limbo.
of solitude as well.
Yeah, and you are the only person that can see him.
and
Yes,
like,
and talk.
imagine that. You're a restless spirit for 100 fucking years. You can't sleep, you can't eat, you can't talk to anyone. And he's still pretty fucking sane.
Yeah.
Barely.
That
Well, I
just
mean,
goes to show, like...
he was really fucking. He was almost gone when
I
we
think,
first meet
yeah,
him.
I think
It
he
was
was ready to like just give up and everything, and then B came along.
Like when he first appears, he's like a featureless shadow, but as the game goes on, he's more hard.
Yeah.
He really fucking grew on me. Like, I always knew that he was like the warrior of light from this shard and all that, and some level of respect, but as a character, he really developed over this story.
Yeah, because the thing is, back in the 3.4 Warriors of Darkness arc, I was very sympathetic to the Warriors of Darkness then. As I said, the only things they ever did wrong was doing their job too well. But then in this expansion really goes into into his character, and he didn't deserve this
No.
at all.
Like,
no.
he, just as so many others, got tricked by the motherfucking Asians.
Yep.
But like he's a regular companion throughout the game, and some of his comments are absolutely heartbreaking.
Oh, some of his actions. Oh my god.
Yeah, like I guess this is a jump forward, but later on there's a Actually, I'll save that for when
Yeah,
it
save
actually
that.
happens
I
because
think I know what you're talking about.
that
Yeah.
hurts.
Yeah.
That really hurts to hear, like the expression on Artfurt's face too.
Yeah.
Anyway, after that, you go. Hang on, let me check the unending journey because I actually do need to check the unending journey to remember what exactly.
I believe it is our friend.
Well, you go to bed. You go to bed.
Yeah,
Wait,
we go to bed. We go to the tower, and we meet our lovely
let me
friend.
see. Warriors of Darkness. Yes. No. What happens next is Vorthri rocks up because Vorthri is mad that you've killed a Light Warden.
Yes.
You find out why later on. The long and the short of it is that he's an easily enraged tub of lard that deserves death.
Yes.
So what happens is you end up setting up to attack the fort outside Crystallarium, Lax and Loft. You like this. It starts off with like guys on Amaros scattering dream powder to knock out most of the soldiers.
And again,
it's a pretty cool solo instance.
yeah,
It's
it is.
Shadowbringers has really stepped up the solo instance game.
Yeah,
so,
definitely. Like
one
I've
of
said.
the things,
Yeah.
yes, probably the best explanation I can give as to just why this expansion is so good is everything in it is good. There's no like crappy story arcs. There are no dungeons with stupid mechanics. There's no characters that you absolutely despise. Just everything is good.
But two things I want to add there real quick. As you said, the single player instances are so fucking good. And Square Enix in the past has said that they want to or might implement a roulette for single player instances. And please, can you fucking do that now?
Sorry, what was that? You cut out again.
Okay, sorry. So, Square Enix has said or hinted at before, I think it was on some Fast Fest, someone asked for it, that they might or will implement a roulette for single player instances. And after Shadowbringers, please, yes, fucking do. And on the second point, you said they were using Dream Powder before we entered the fort on that single player trial. Is it okay for us to use chemical weapons now?
I mean, to be fair, we didn't hurt them.
Well,
the option was to knock them out or murder them. I think the vagaries of using chemical weapons aside, I think sending them to sleep rather than sending them to their eternal sleep is the better choice.
well, it has been used in real life with not fucking very good results because sleeping gas is something that, depending on your body and stuff like that, it can kill you in higher quantities.
See, usually I hate this defense, but this defense actually probably is the case for at least this one time. It's a fantasy.
Yeah.
The dream powder just puts people to sleep.
Yeah, okay, I can accept that.
Also, the dream powder is obviously largely harmless because we end up using it on civilians to help them with their medical care later on.
True.
So I seriously doubt that it killed anyone. Anyway, after this instance, we end up carving our way through the still awake soldiers in Lax and Loft with the help of Lean, Lean, the captain of the guard, Alphino and Alize, before we bump into Ranjit. And
he's a Ranji sheet, that Ranjit.
Holy shit, Ranjit absolutely scared the shit out of me when he turned up. Like, I know that Xenos was a bit of a shock to the system when everyone started doing Stormblood, where you went from 2 whole expansions of being the Warrior of Light to getting absolutely trounced on by Xenos, but Ranjit was something else.
He didn't even break a sweat in that first fight. He was just like, whatever.
He kicked the absolute shit out of us, and we only barely managed to survive because this is where Thancred decides to make his glorious fucking entrance. Oh yeah, sorry, the reason why we're attacking Lax and Loft isn't just because, I forgot this, isn't just because they're threatening to attack the Crystallarium. Technically at this point they're not. It's because they managed to capture Minfilia in Lakeland. And this is the point where we first meet Minfilia, and I gotta say, Shadowbringers did a really impressive job of making Minfilia a likable character. Not just mini Minfilia, but actual Minfilia as well.
I just called her Mini-Me throughout the entire expansion, actually.
Mini-Filia. No, they actually did a good job of making both Minfilia and the actual Minfilia more interesting and complex characters, because I never hated Minfilia to the extent that most people did.
I love her.
But yeah, I thought she was an okay character, but you can't really argue with the fact that she was underdeveloped.
Oh yeah, but that was also a lot of her like lore came from outside the main story, like her upbringing and all that. That came from like basically side quest NPC dialogue most of the time.
Yeah, which is not a good thing to do for your lead, for the lead side character, if that makes any sense. But the nice cam review on your stream. High res wall.
Yeah, the fucking icam. Can't do much about that.
Anyway, after we save Minfilia, Ranji kicks the ever-loving shit out of us.
Yep.
Nearly beating us to death. And unlike Xenos, he actually would have killed us.
Oh yeah.
And that before Thancred proceeds to make his big damn entrance and save our lives, before we all run like hell.
With the Exarch's help.
No, that is a hilarious moment for me, at least. They managed to distract Ranji, and we all run like hell, only for Ranji to notice. And before he's about to do his Mega Super Saiyan mile long leap to kick us in the back of the head, the Exarch proceeds to use break to stop him.
Yeah.
Why is it that they give us break? It's absolute shit. They take it away from us because they know it's shit. And then they have an NPC use it to save the day.
And not just like, he didn't just use break, he had to use an entire fucking MacGuffin and deplete all the power from it to even hold him in place for what, 20 seconds?
Yeah, Ranji is something else.
How fucking strong is he?
We don't know because we kind of put him down.
Yeah, but like his power level must have been over 9,000 or something.
No, he was something else. He probably would have kicked the shit out of Xeno. Well, I know he would have kicked the shit out of Xeno. Because we beat Xenos in a one-on-one fight. Multiple. Well, no, we beat him multiple times. Eventually culminating in the fight at the end of the dungeon. But Ranji not only kicks the ever-loving crap out of us, he kicks the crap out of our allies and all of the soldiers that came with us.
Yeah.
And he hounds us for the rest of the expansion. Like, unlike Xenos, who was that, like, vague threat on the hill. Like, we knew we'd have to take him on eventually, but he wasn't, like, a pressing concern. We spent the entire expansion running like dogs from Ranji.
Xenos basically showed up once, kicked our ass, and like, yeah, you're a good opponent, but you need to grow a bit. I'll wait over here until you're strong enough, then you come fight me.
Ranji tried to murder us multiple times, and we only ever escaped by the skin of our teeth.
Which was awesome, honestly. It's good storytelling.
He was a terrifying villain. Then, obviously, immediately after we leave Lax and Loft, we end up in Ilmeg, which I'm pretty sure made Angel's blood pressure skyrocket.
Yup.
I can say, that was like the worst area to start off with all the brightness. Holy crap.
Like, with my sweet effects filter I have on by default, I could barely see 5 feet in front of my face.
I mean, to be fair, that's the point of the pixie.
Yeah, it was, but still, it was even worse because of my filter.
I know I play up my reactions a lot, but I'm actually not an easy person to annoy. And as I've mentioned from the fact that I like Theo Ul and I like Cat Mom, I also don't find it easy. It's not easy for characters to annoy. But I got so fucking angry during that beginning of that Ilmeg segment, I actually had to step away and get a cold drink out of the fridge because Jesus Christ, are the pixies infuriating. And on one hand, I actually like the fact that they did that because the pixies aren't these like shitty little joke Disney pixies. They are the threatening, creepy, terrifying fae of old. On the other hand, my blood pressure doesn't need doing these sodding fetch quests for these irreparable shits.
Yeah. And like
Eventually though, we do fetch quests for the pixies, do menial shit, and the pixies let us go. And honestly, once the pixies let us go, they become infinitely less annoying.
Yeah, they do. They actually do. Like, as much as I drum it up myself too, that opening couple of sequences where they were just fucking with us, I was just like, please fucking stop.
Which is the point. But again, they clearly did a good job because I was livid.
Exactly, like they did.
After we help the fairies around, this is when we meet Urianger, and this is where Urianger goes from being Mr. MacGuffin man to my favorite scion. Possibly. He's kind of tied with Thancred. Because, so first of all, not only do we find out that the man has been living with pixies for the last 3 years, when I could barely stand being around pixies for 3 minutes.
Yeah, like, this dude's patience is godlike.
But he managed to earn his place among the pixies by winning a 7-day riddle contest.
Oh my God.
Day and night, no sleep.
Yeah, that's it. No sleep, no breaks. Urianger just intellectually flexing on these uptight children. And this is also where we find out that Urianger also became absolutely fucking ripped in his time on the fur.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, be careful. It honestly just immediately my brain came up with, be careful of who you make fun of in middle school. Like, holy hell, he's been hitting the weights.
Oh yeah. And
I can now understand why Mombrita liked him.
And like, I just have to say one thing about, not the first scene, but I think it was the second scene we got voice acted with Urianger when he started explaining the elements. I was pretty tired at that point. I think I've been playing the game for 16 plus hours, but my brain just couldn't comprehend and exploded and then imploded basically with all the fucking thing he was bringing up.
But he was basically explaining something that we already knew, except he did come up with some. He did come out with one extremely important tidbit. Astral and Umbral are actually the wrong way round, essentially, and darkness is the force of change and life and energy, while life is the force of order and peace, but it's also the force of stagnation and rot. Which
kind of makes sense. In tarot cards, death is not the representation of death, it's the representation of change, as you just said.
Yes. Yes, but so this is where we find out that actually the light is nowhere near as good as we.
No.
I mean, to be fair, it had already been teased up to that anyway. So this is where we actually. Also, damn, Urianger's voice continues to be very soothing.
Oh yeah.
Also, I probably like him as much as I do because I think I'm the only person on this podcast that can keep up with his verbose nonsense.
I mean,
I'm doing well.
I can understand at least 60 to 75% most of the time.
I feel absolutely sorry for anyone who's trying to listen to him and doesn't have English as their first language.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, he just, like, I suck at English and he just tears it apart.
Like, when the scenes are voice acted, I can keep up fairly well. When it's just in text, I have to do a couple of spit takes sometimes because what the fuck is that word? To Google! Basically.
Yeah. You can always get the gist of what.
Yeah.
Although I like the fact that Shadowbringers actually kind of makes that a point. Like everyone starts commenting on how verbose Urianger is. Like Ishtola makes fun of him a bit for it.
Urianger honestly has become one of my favorite.
Yeah.
He is a fantastic actor though, and also this expansion really made me sympathize with him a lot. Because he's always been kind of like the plot master of the Scions. Like circumstances always conspire to force him to lie to everyone else or to hold everyone else in the dark. But Shadowbringers really goes to show just how much he absolutely hates being the guy who has to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like he is not the hero we need, but he's the hero, or he is the hero we need, but he don't want to be.
Yeah, he's the guy on the guy to do what else wants to do, and it makes me sympathize.
You're breaking up a bit again, Variel. Is your microphone?
Hey, can you hear me? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
I think I might have just been a little bit too quiet there.
Okay.
Part of the reason why I talk so loud on this headphone, at least, is because if I talk quietly, it won't fucking pick me up.
Microphones. Yeah.
This thing is, I don't really complain too much because this is a 20-pound microphone, basically.
Wow.
Or attached to a headset, but it's this good quality. The problem with it is it's like insanely hyper aggressive noise cancellation.
Yeah.
Like literally, like hang on, can you hear like as I'm getting quieter? Can you hear me getting ever so
Yes.
quieter?
Yeah.
That like entire volume drop was caused by me moving my mic an inch further away from my face than normal.
Wow. Jesus.
Yeah, I had a mic like that, but I got rid of it.
Yeah. Honestly though, I don't really mind. I just need to talk slightly louder.
Yeah. It works out most of the time pretty fine, so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we meet up with our Yander, and then we go on a little sightseeing trip, basically, around the zone, meeting a lot of other beast tribes. No?
No, we get fucked by the fairies first.
Oh yeah, we start having stupid, goofy. Actually, this is the sequence though where this is where I kind of like started to respect having Feo all around, because Feo will basically. Yeah.
That was Megumin.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
This is yeah, I've been talking for a while anyway, which is fine. We've been going for.
Yeah, we've been going for 3 hours.
3 hours.
To be honest, I expected this podcast to be a very long podcast because
Same.
it's Shadowbringers, and we're all so fucking excited.
Indeed.
Yeah.
We haven't even got to the really cool shit. Anyway,
Oh
what
god,
was
you're
I?
right. Yeah.
How was I? Oh yeah, so I do at least appreciate the fact that Feo all got the pixies to stop messing with us.
Yes, thank
Well,
you. You did
certain
something good
ones.
there.
The certain
Most of
There
them.
was, there was one that weren't in. There was two in that area that like was like, oh yeah, you have great haste. Now we're gonna teleport you back.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
that
come on.
quest can go fuck itself. If you strayed off the path a little bit, which I did because I saw a little cliff face, I was like, oh, there's either a sightseeing log or an aether current out there. Nope, quest reset, fuck you.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I just did it straight away.
I understand that. Anyway, we end up basically having a quest to go collect the 4 MacGuffins so we can get into Queen Titania's castle.
Yeah.
Because what we find out is that the Light Warden of Ilmeg is they refer to Titania as the king, but just like all of the other Fae, Titania's gender is very, very vague.
Can I bring up a point, please? It's
Yeah.
completely off topic. The amount of Aetherites they have introduced into this game, every zone,
Yes,
Yes,
Every
it's
zone.
great.
has at least 2 to 3 Aetherites, which is
Yes.
amazing.
No more Coerthus Western Highland. Thank
Oh.
God.
Yes.
We find out that when the fairies came under attack from the Sin Eaters, they all sallied out and proceeded to kick Sin Eater ass. Titania then killed the Light Warden, and as was mentioned earlier, Light Wardens will the ether from a Light Warden will convert someone else into a Light Warden. So Queen Titania got turned into the Light Warden of Ilmeg, and the fairies were forced to seal her in the castle.
Yeah.
So we need to go around and get the 4 MacGuffins to open up the
Wait.
castle.
Leads to one of the most cool dungeons in the entire game.
Yeah, let me see. The first one, the pixies just give us,
Yep.
basically, which was a nice, refreshing change of pace. The second one, which is the Shell Crown, we
Yep.
have to get from the Thwath, who are these frogmen who are supposedly born from the souls of the drowned.
And we had to go through the dungeon.
The Thwath are crappy people, awful people. As Ardbert meets us after the dungeon, and basically he says the first rule of dealing with a Thwath is to never deal with a.
Yes.
But anyway, we go through Don Meg, and actually as a dungeon, Don Meg is really fun. it's very whimsical and strange, but also mechanically interesting. Like the second boss's growth mechanic, where
cool.
there are a bunch of little plants appear and they tether to the boss, and it's one of those tethers where you can interrupt it to take it. So you have to take the tethers, and the tethers give you a buff called growing, which makes you bigger and more powerful. The boss also gets that buff. So what it basically leads is to a boss fight of a bunch of extra large warriors of light beating on this giant shrub monster.
And the mechanic like a balancing brig over a pit.
I've got a fucking gripe with my stupid healer friend about that.
You already
Rescue?
know what, yep.
Yep, essentially we were running across, and I was taking it slow just to make sure I didn't fall off, while my friend who was playing the other DPS, and by the way, I basically ran all of the dungeons in Shadowbringers with the same 4 friends, with the same 3 other friends, which is really nice. But and it's also nice because they're actually competent at their jobs. But the white mage, he thought, hey, I'll get my friend over here extra fast, and he casts rescue on me and drags me into the pit. And because he does that, none of the DPS managed to get to the boss in time, and we wipe.
Wow, we didn't even have a wipe.
And it's like, you stupid... I'm a black mage. I have ethereal manipulation. If that trick would have worked, I would have just used ethereal manipulation when you got over. The pulling things like the leaps, like Dancer's Dash and Ninja's Dash and your fucking rescue don't work like that.
That happened. That happened on my
Oh,
first
actually,
pog run too. I wasn't getting
actually-
rescued, but the other DPS was. It was fucking
Actually,
hilarious.
though, that does actually remind me of something that happens though if you take the dungeon, if you do the trust dungeon in there. Urianger will wait for someone else to get across, and then use a modified version of rescue to pull himself across the pit to them.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Whereas Alice just fucking runs across the bridge at full pelt,
Of course.
and thankfully doesn't fall off. At least that's what I heard. I haven't. The only dungeon I've trust system is Holman's the Switch.
I
because
haven't even
want-
touched the trust
I haven't trusted.
Trust system is okay. So trust, I can say from the trust system. First of all, from the last podcast, I was wrong. Unfortunately, you can only use the trust system on your own. You can't have like 2 friends and then 2 trust NPCs, which is a bit of a problem, but not too much of an issue. But the trust NPCs are fantastic. The best way I can describe the trust NPCs are better than bad players, but not better than good players. So they will dodge out of AoEs and they'll go through the dungeon relatively fast, and they're all competent at what they do. So running trust system dungeons isn't annoying and tedious. It's actually quite fun, and can be refreshing if you've been if the people you keep getting are absolute dipshits. But it also isn't good enough to replace just running it with people. So I think they've managed to perfectly balance the competence of party members. And that comment they made about Alize stealing the limit break, by the way, she doesn't steal the limit break. She gives you plenty of time to use it yourself. She's just faster at using the limit break than the other trust in.
Okay, makes sense. I mean, if she would have fucking popped it the second it came up, that might have been a bit annoying, but you know, if there is at least a window, go for it.
The trust NPCs are all good at what they do, and they're not going to get in your way, and they're better than bad players. They're about, like, I would say they would be the 60th percentile on, like, just out of the general party.
Not too bad.
But
then.
at the same time, though, they have like their own quirks and habits, which do actually make them feel different to each other, as opposed to it just being like a squadron dungeon. So, for example, Urianger is absolutely on the ball with his buffs.
Nice.
Like, I'm pretty sure that he uses his buffs the instant they come off cooldown. He uses his buffs better than most Astros I've ever played.
Damn.
But he's also he's very conservative with his DPS. Whereas, say, Alize is extremely aggressive, but she's more likely to get hit by an AoE because of that. She won't kill herself. None of the trust NPCs are a pain to run with. Like I said, they actually do have different personalities, and you know what? I, for one, am really glad that they added the trust system, because the other thing with the trust system is all of the different NPC interactions when you actually enter the dungeon. They don't just have like their own comments. They also have comments if you bring certain groups of NPCs. For example, if you take both of the twins into Holminster Switch, Alphino tries to console Alize after you kill Tesleen.
Really?
Yeah, he does. It's not successful, as you'd probably imagine. The writing for the NPCs is good too. Also, Crystal Exarch is the best conceivable party member because he fills all three roles perfectly. Damn. Hang on. I'll be back in a minute. I've run out of stuff to drink. You can finally get a word in edgeway.
Alright, so I haven't tried the trust system yet, but as I understand it too, you can level them up, so they become more powerful, I can assume, or at least more competent. I have no idea on that part. But
I ran all dungeons with you.
yeah, but more of that Pixie Zone, Ilmek. We also meet the Namu Namu Beast Tribe. I'm pretty sure they're gonna be a Beast Tribe, at least up in the northwest part, and they were not weird-ish, but they are from Final Fantasy Tactics. So I would expect them to at least be a Beast Tribe or something. We can't just leave them up there like they are. We'll probably have to do something else with them later on, would be my prediction at least. So that's probably one Beast Tribe, but the Pix is going to be one other of the Beast Tribes. And then, what other Beast Tribes will we get, do you think?
I think the one we met in the last zone.
Oh yeah, definitely. As we mentioned earlier from Ilmor, the Shingani there that Alphino struck a deal with.
Yeah, I think we get one of them. And I'm either thinking pixies or dwarfs.
I don't know if the dwarves are gonna be a beast tribe, because we get 3 each expansion nowadays, basically. And the dwarves are just Lalafells in disguise, which
honestly,
I think
the dwarves are
right.
going to be the crafting tribe. And the other two are going to be the combat that I mentioned. I don't think pixies are actually going to be the beast tribes. Because they seem really prominent in the main story.
Yeah, and what will we do for them? They're like eternal beings of magic. They don't really need help with much things.
No, they can literally like kill almost anything they want.
Yeah, like the major thing we did for them was, well,
we'll get to that in a bit.
We will get into too soon. Yeah, but that's basically all they ever needed help with.
The only other beast clubs I think we could probably have is the Amaro. Which I doubt they will even be one.
Amaro.
The black chocobo copy clones.
Oh, yeah, but only like
northeast.
Only like one of them ever spoke, Stego or Seto.
Well, 5 of them did, but
okay, but still.
Voice acted, 1 spoke, which, oh my god.
Yeah, but they don't really have any needs. They like live off the lands, make their nest, and all this daijoubu.
They love men. They love the man. The race.
Okay, no homo.
No, their whole thing was they were bred to love man. So they get attached to people quick. So they're basically dogs.
Welcome back.
You're talking about the Amaro.
Yes.
We were just going over potential beast tribes, basically. The Namu Namu, the Pixies.
They've already been confirmed.
Okay, so what are they then?
Numu, Dwarves, and Pixies.
Okay.
Dwarves were right. I was wrong on the 3rd one then.
Yeah.
I thought it was the things in the last area, the fish people.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. But, no, they've said that those are the 3 beast tribes that they're getting.
Okay, so we are getting dwarfs.
We were at
we started talking about the new beast tribe in northwest East, right?
We finished discussing Don Meg, so you guys went on to the Numu?
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, the Numu are more accurate to dogs, to be honest, because the Numu. I would honestly, if we're going on like old Fey legends, I would describe the Numu like brownies or like old school dwarves, where they actually like serving people. They're not antagonistic like most Fae are. The thing is, the Fae, both in mythology, and it's actually referenced outright in the game too, the Fae generally have a rule that all debts must be paid.
Oh yeah.
So if someone gives you something, you give them something back in return. That's why, like, pixies will fucking murder a man for stepping on one of their flowers by accident. It's not because of the flower, it's because the guy didn't give them recompense for taking away their flower. And it's also why pixies will do stupid things like give you a chest full of golden gems for a slice of bread. But it takes on a weird version with the Numu, where essentially the Numu force you to do a string of like really quick, easy, and simple fetch quests when you get to them, just so that they have an excuse to do stuff for you.
Yeah.
Because it's like, damn, I want to help them, but they need to help us, or we're going to break ancient Fae law. Walk down take this vase and deliver it to that guy standing right over there. But he's only like 50 feet. Just do it for me, will ya? It just leads to like this really hilarious set of fetch quests where they're just making you do like the simplest things so they can have an excuse to sell you stuff and fix your gear.
Yes.
The Numu are best boys, and the Numu have the stone staff, and the Numu just give you the stone staff. Okay, they don't just give you to it; they give you to it after like a fetch quest that takes 20 seconds.
Yes. Can
you scrape these weird mushrooms off my house? Done? Fantastic. Have my ancient relic of surpassing power. After...
Amaro's next.
After the Numu, we go to the Amaro, and the Amaro both, like, they are and they aren't Fae folk. Like, they aren't Fae, because they're not made out of, like, old souls and ether like the Numu and the Pixies are. But they are Fae folk, because they follow the laws of the Fae, which is why they're allowed to stay in Ilmeg. So they don't. So they have to follow the laws, but they don't do stupid shit like try and drown you for shits and giggles. Goddamn Fwath. Oh yeah, at the end of the dungeon, the Fwath try to drown you so they can turn you into another Fwath.
Just because you're entertaining.
Yes, but because you beat the shit out of them in a really amusing manner. This is the kind of things we have to deal with, for God's sake.
Because of powers of turtles, we can breathe. Yeah.
But because a turtle from the Far East taught me how to breathe underwater, it didn't work. Honestly, you'd think the Fwath would have expected that.
Well,
and then Arbden was like, "What the hell? How are you surviving underwater?"
It's like, no, he was like, "That's a pretty handy trick."
Yeah.
Yeah, but we get when you get to the Amaro are a bit more difficult to get the last relic from, not because they don't want to help you, but because they're convinced that Tanya is gonna kill you, and the Amaro, as was mentioned before, were bred to love men.
Yeah.
And so they genuinely care for you. Like they want to, and that you find out that the Amaro are being led by this giant Amaro called Seto, who was Ardbert's Amaro.
That, can I just say, that was a beautiful story element there.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. It also led to this absolutely heart-wrenching scene where Seto was describing Ardbert and how much he loved Ardbert and was inspired by him, and how proud he felt.
And how happy he got from the medallion.
Yeah, and how happy he got when you returned the medallion that Ardbert to him, and like how much your kindness and honor and charity reminds him of Ardbert. And, like, the ghost of Ardbert is there behind a tree, and you can just see him filled with sadness and shame.
And joy.
Because Ardbert has a mass. I can only describe it as a complex, although it's completely understandable why. He got tricked into. He got tricked into destroying the entire world, and honestly, he would have destroyed the world if Minfilia didn't swoop in at the last minute and stop. and he's been left alone, and all his friends are dead, and he just feels such immense shame, sadness, and following him around. Oh,
That was
crap!
worse.
Yeah. Then that moment comes later. I keep forgetting the moment, the pressing the odd button. I'm at least making some semblance to stick to the order of Shadowbringers.
It's hard, isn't it? Because there's things you can't remember or can remember.
Yeah.
I think after the Amaro, we do go after.
Yeah, after the Amaro, we go after Twintania, and the Twintania is an absolutely fantastic fight.
Before we go into that, can we just say the scene up to that the scenery around the castle is gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
Also, when my friend first got there and he found out the Fuka, he was so mad. It's like, I've come to the first, and there's pink fucking Pisces. Hey, his loss. I love Pisces.
That castle and that place really just gave Shadowbringers such a great areas.
The overworld design of Shadowbringers is incredible.
Incredible.
This is the only expansion where I have loved every single overworld area. Like, there are areas that people like from the last ones, like the Azim Steppe, the Sea of Clouds. Even Azis La has its own weird dead charm to it. But I can't pick out a favorite. Sorry, my friend just commented in Angel's chat. Anyway, yeah, it's him. Anyway, what was I? I can't pick out a favorite area in Shadowbringers.
I can't.
Every single area here is the same level of quality as the Sea of Clouds, or wherever else. It's just all incredible.
Yeah.
I think top 2 is the final. Top 3 fight is the final area, the Great Wood and Ilmeg. That's my top 3.
I would say Ilmeg after we took away the sky, and the Great Woods are my favorite zones. Because I just like the woods.
The problem is, I have a huge soft spot for Armorang because it's just so ethereal and otherworldly. It feels like you stepped out of the first into some kind of dream trapped in times. If anyone, I'm pretty sure I'm the only person here that knows of this game, but if anyone has ever played Eternal Sonata, it reminds me a lot of the final area of the entire game, the Elegy of...
Never played.
Long story short, the Elegy of the is a weird version of the Land of Dead. It's not supposed to exist, but it does, because souls can't move on. And it's this massive, endless desert made out of the sands of time. And Armorang just has that same ghostly, fantastical quality to it.
But yeah, the first areas you see are just amazing.
Everywhere in this game looks fantastic. Oh yeah.
We get to our lovely first trial.
Yeah, the Dancing Plague, which, before we start, by the way, the Dancing Plague does actually reference a real-world event that happened somewhere in Eastern Europe, where for seemingly no reason at all, about 40 people in the middle of a small village just began dancing in a circle, and nothing anyone could do could get them to stop, and they eventually all just danced themselves to death.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
No, absolutely. There are a couple of theories as to why that happened. For example, there is a fungus that grows on stored grains called ergot, which can potentially have psychoactive properties. So the going theory is that they were all high off their tits on weird grain, but no one actually has any idea what happened. But they all just danced to themselves to death.
Sounds like ecstasy to me, but sure.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
Something like that. I could think of a few drugs that would get a 1600s peasant to dance themselves. Anyway, the Titania fight is fantastic. I love the music.
Yeah.
Like, when you first hear it, you're like, wait, it doesn't feel like it would fit a fight as momentous and important as Titania, but it does. It perfectly fits the weird theme that they have. The mechanics are great as well. They're so fun.
And there's a bunch of like Shakespeare reference in that entire fight, if I understand it correctly.
3 ads are all fairies from the Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yeah, exactly.
The attack that she put, the ability that she uses to put you into the forest itself, is called Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yeah.
Also, her voice lines are great.
Can I just say, the ad phase was very funny for me and Angel, because of course you have the 3 ads. You have the Kree guy that no one gets aggro to, he just does AoE. Yeah. So you have all the guys going on the Nidhogg way of going to the West ad, and then you have Angel going to the Kree just soloing it.
Fucking Colonel Mustard.
He literally soloed the Kree every time.
Also just Titania's lines as well. It's like, come, let's play, for the night is bright, and you can rest when you're dead.
Titania definitely has to be my favourite fate.
Yeah.
Pixie.
When she like supercharges all of her ads, bigger is better.
God, you sound like the dude of Hearthstone.
Titania Size Queen confirmed.
I
mean, I know that's an atrocious Scottish accent, but to be honest, it's still in line with the way the pixies talk.
But
also, like, the one thing that really stood out to me in Titania though was the transition being mortal. Holy shit, does it hit hard?
Yes.
I remember going in there with a group where like most of the people there were new, and they didn't throw out mitigation, and we all got knocked down to about 1,000 health points, and just die. It was like, this is a story trial.
They up their difficulty on this. Like,
they up the difficulty on all content, or tanks just don't know how to play tanks anymore.
No, I've played with some really good tanks. I've spoken to them, and they all consider.
Angel, how could you? I thought I tanked good.
You tank good. We only wiped once, if I can recall correctly.
I've been back to old content as well since then, because of like roulettes and other reasons. And the older content is more difficult because of the adjustments they've made as well. Like,
really?
Yeah. Well, let's put it this way: not noticeably more difficult. Like, it's not going to make an experienced group suddenly wipe, but it's a noticeable increase in difficulty. For example,
yes.
I think I mentioned this already. I've definitely mentioned this to Angel, but by the end of Storm, I could solo a Gazelle skin treasure map as my backpack.
Oh yeah, you mentioned this earlier.
I tried to do it again a couple days after, and I was instantly obliterated.
Wow.
I was killed in 20 seconds. I had to ask someone in my FC to come res me. And even with their help, I could barely take away about a third of the pack's health before the map timed out.
Can I just say also with Titania and like the rest of like the dungeons and fights, monster design lately has just been on point.
Yeah, even the reused models, they've managed to reuse. They're not like just straightly reused. They've managed to edit it in some way. Like, for example, a lot of the Sin Eaters that you fight are either just straight up reused, recolored animals. For example, you'll fight a lot of white bears and white scorpions, but a lot of them also use void scent rigs. Not the models. The models are new, but they're clearly on void scent rigs.
Yeah.
Like the ones that get reused a lot are Succubi and Void Roga.
Yeah.
But if you actually think about it, it makes sense, because Sin Eaters are essentially the same thing as Void Scent.
Yes.
They're just light instead of dark.
But they have made a great amount of design choices.
No, like everything, like the design, even the reused stuff looks great. And the new stuff looks fantastic.
Wasn't it?
They especially outdid themselves on the designs for the Light War.
I don't remember if it's only for Eden, which is coming up, or it's everything. But I'm pretty sure they have the Kingdom Hearts main monster designer on this project.
I think he's mainly on Eden, but I don't.
I think he probably had influenced some of this.
It also feels weird that everyone's calling the Kingdom Hearts guy when they.
I don't know his name.
Tetsuya Nomura?
No, not the fact they're calling him the Kingdom Hearts guy. It's the fact that he did Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII. And yet no one seems to be commenting.
Okay, can I just say, like, in the FanFest, they referenced him as the Kingdom Hearts guy.
Probably because Kingdom Hearts 3 was more freshly in people's mind.
I believe he also did Final Fantasy VI too. So
Oh
we
yeah, I
essentially-
remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
We essentially have the guy who did the 2 most popular Final Fantasy games
Yeah.
designing RA.
Oh yeah, Eden and
I cannot like fucking.
I can't
I
wait to see
know-
the podcast
I
on
know-
that.
I know Angel had quite reserved expectations coming in, but you've got to admit, considering how good Shadowbringers has been so far, you've got to be excited for 3.
Let me just say this to start off with. Yeah, I was reserved as fuck because Stormblood was such a fucking letdown for me.
Yep.
But I went back and changed my Steam review when I finished the story from negative to positive.
Yeah.
That must
you
say
did.
something. Yes, I am both excited and hyped for everything that's coming up now because
I just gotta
this
say,
was so fucking good.
I also feel like Stormblood helped lay the groundwork for Shadowbringers. Not story-wise, absolutely not story-wise, but mechanically speaking, the content in Shadowbringers shares a lot of similarities that were
Yeah. I just
laid
realized.
out in Stormblood.
During the entire time we talked, have we even got to the point where we go back to the source at all in any cutscenes?
We never went back to the source.
Honestly we have passed those, but I think I forgot them exactly. Like there was, let me see.
Because the first
cover
one,
that.
yeah, we'll do it at the end.
We can cover that at the end, to be honest, because those cutscenes only really add anything important when they're all taken together.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's
but
just make
long,
it short.
long story short, Astinian is working alongside Gaius, and girls everywhere are suffering severe issues.
Gaius von Belsar, mighty pirate.
I know for certain that the sheer feral energy coming off my statics Astro has probably caused her to catch fire like that demented picture.
That's brilliant.
So, do we wanna stop here for today and come back this weekend and do?
I mean, to be honest, I can keep going.
So can I.
And our viewership has remained constant for the last 2 hours, so our viewers can clearly continue watching as well.
Yeah, we should probably cut it up in episodes afterwards, but yeah, fuck it, let's keep going then.
Yep, cool. So after
Okay.
Titania.
So after, by the way, I can't wait.
Can't wait
Oh,
for
yeah.
what? Sorry.
Hang on, if you're using stream amps, you can probably overlay this, Angel. But this picture here is what I'm imagining most like female fans of this game saw when they during that cutscene.
Wait, what? It's a burning Furby. I legit don't get it.
It's a bad joke. I'm saying that there were too many handsome men in the scene and they caught fire.
Ah, okay.
Or, I mean, also, not let's not leave out the gay and bisexual men too. Also, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of straight men that could appreciate Astinian too.
Oh yeah.
No.
Titania, that fight was amazing, and then I forgot. Is it? Yeah, actually. Oh god, yeah.
Yeah,
Fayu.
it's Titania, and then of course after the fight, we find out that someone has to replace Titania, and we don't want it because Jesus fucking Christ, I don't want it. Don't make me take it, for the love of God. I can barely deal with these pixies already, let alone for the rest of the turn.
Are you speaking on Angel's behalf?
Yeah, but that was my same reaction. I was just sitting there like, no,
No,
get me
I
away
don't
from
want-
here.
No, I
So-
don't want to become a pixie. I want to keep my aura.
Yeah.
So anyway, Feo-ul took throne,
Yep.
and God bless Feo-ul, because Feo-ul uses the throne to save our bacon on more than one occasion.
So, at this point, Yulmore and Ranjit has actually invaded Ilmeg,
Oh yeah,
beating the living
is-
crap out the pixies.
Yeah, no, I think this is the moment where Ranjit just simply, in my opinion, went from being a really strong dude to just something else. Because essentially, during the time that Yulmore have been trying to get in, the pixies have been fucking with them, like
Yep.
fogs, fake trails, things like that. But Ranjit is having none of this. He walks through the pixie fog like it isn't there, and then when he gets to the pixie village and starts talking to them, he snatches an invisible pixie out of midair with his bare hands.
Yeah,
and
because
starts squashing it in his grip.
we didn't mention this earlier, but there was a cutscene that he had with the ExCog while we were invisible in the ocular, and he literally plainly looked at us.
Because he has such a high. He has such a high level. He has true sight, basically.
I didn't mention it earlier because I couldn't quite remember if it was before or after Il-Meg. But essentially, at some point relative to that point in the story, Yulmor is angry with us for killing the Light Ones and threatens war on.
Yeah, he sent Ranjit, which we were talking to the Exarch at the time. Exarch made us invisible. They had a whole conversation of Exarchs actually approve of killing the Light Wardens and happy with it. And Ranjit's like, yeah, you're going to regret this. And
Ranjit then fucking just straight up looks at us like, I still don't know what's up with Ranjit, but whatever he is, he's not just a very high level person. There's something else.
But then we get to the ocular solo instance of the ocular of light, and then we get to Il-Meg. But then he, of course, comes along while we're fighting Titania, beats up the Pixies, beats up the Scions.
Yeah, but then of course, Feo all uses his, her, its, they. I'm just gonna call Feo.
Then Titania and the Amaros come flying us in.
Yes, they fly us back, and they also get the Pixies to. They also get all the Fates out of the Amaros, which leads to one of the most weirdly horrifying scenes in the game. Like, it's really goofy and weird, like the Pixies are turning the Yulmoran soldiers into topiaries, but at the same time, it's horrifying.
Yeah, and how many of those bushes are around that zone? I was like, are these... did these used to be humans or people?
Yeah. There are leaf men all over the place, and I thought, oh, that's kind of funny. The Pixies have fashioned bushes into the shapes of people to mess around with and have tea parties with. And then you find out that like they're the transformed remains of people who got lost and had to stay in the village, and it's like, thank you for completely ruining the one thing that I didn't either hate or get scared by in this village.
Because I remember one of those bushes were standing like on the northwest cliff face outside the Numu village with a pickaxe mining as he got turned. I'm like, huh. That's, no.
Yeah.
What a fucking way to go.
The time you spend in Il-Meg makes it go from being like this whimsical and slightly aggravating place to genuinely scary and
And then the night comes back after all that.
Night comes back after we kill Titania, which was...
2 light warders are absorbed.
Yes, and Ranjit then just leaves because being there, considering we already killed the light ward.
Yeah.
Well, he also leaves because the fairies are butchering his soldiers.
Yes.
I think the worst thing is what Path do, like where just like puddles will appear from nowhere and these creepy little eyes will glow in the puddles, and then the Fwath will somehow drag a 6'4" man into a half-inch deep puddle and drown him.
But you can also see there like how much of a officer or tactician Ranjit is. Like, yeah, the objective is lost. We can only suffer more losses here. We're pulling back.
That's the other thing that I respect about Ranjit. He's not just some cartoon villain. He's actually very intelligent and capable.
Yeah.
Sure, he holds a grudge. He wants to kill us, but for now, there's no point of being there.
He doesn't even hold a grudge. He's just coming after us because it's his job.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true actually.
And then we go back to Crystarium, I believe.
Yeah, we do. Then this leads to Yulmor's siege on the Crystarium.
Wait. This is friendly friend coming in now.
Yes, Emmett Silk is here.
He is a fucking glorious character in this expansion.
Holy shit.
He is quite possibly my favorite character in this whole expansion.
Yes.
And he just he starts off as like this amusing and fun yet interesting and threatening presence.
He literally
just comes better and better. Every word that comes out of his mouth is incredible.
He comes in literally like, oh hi, I'm the leader and founder of the Guardians, plus I'm an Ascian. Let's be friends.
And then like, I just love how like because he's Emmett Selk, he just casually drops insanely important pieces of lore like it's nothing because of how much he's done. Like he literally mentions that he helped found the Allegan Empire in an offhand comment.
Yeah.
The sheer energy of this man.
Yeah,
Like,
but that's funny. That's a bit funny though, because he also mentioned that if he knew more about the Alec technology, he would be able to do what the Exarch did and travel or teleported people to the other shards. But if he just founded the Alec Empire and then just basically fucked off,
well,
wasn't that an error on his
This
part?
is kind of spoilers, but they don't use the Allegan technology to use the Crystal Tower to teleport.
No,
They use a system designed by the Ironworks using information that we gathered from both Alexander and Omega.
Oh,
We'll get on that later. We'll get on that later.
Yeah, so essentially, that's why Emmett Selk doesn't know how they did it, because it had absolutely nothing to do with Emmett Selk.
Yeah, it was hidden the future generations of the Ironworks.
Yeah.
Which, Emmett Selk though, he is my favorite character in this
Emmett Selk just casually starts name dropping like really big important events, and he's just like, wait, you did all this? Emmett Selk is great because he brings so much lore and exposition in effortlessly. Like it never feels like they're using him as an exposition dump either.
No, because he was there.
And he comes in saying, okay, I'm not going to do La Habrea's mistake of trying to fight you. Instead, I'm going to try the complete opposite.
Cooperation, which proceeds to confuse and terrify everyone.
Yes! And rightfully so. The Ascians are always scheming, lying bastards.
Yeah,
don't fucking trust them.
I genuinely thought that, I genuinely was getting concerned with what I was doing, because it's like, wait, he's only helping me because he can put me on a path to do what he wants. This isn't just any Ascian, this is Emmett Selk, king of schemes.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly, I'm doing what he wants, but I shouldn't be doing what he wants because this is Emmett Selk we're talking about.
Yeah, but he wants us to do the same thing that the Exarch wants us to do, and that is kill all the Light Wardens and get the light absorbed into us.
He didn't originally. He was actually annoyed at us for doing that.
Yeah, because his original plan was for Varys to do that shit and basically bring about the rejoining that way. But when we interfered, there had to be a rejoining coming from some other direction. And
the thing you learn about Emmett Selk very quickly is the man is a genius. And he is an intellect on a whole other level. He makes the most intelligent characters like Urianger and Ishtola look like children fumbling around in the dark. This is a man whose hobby and pastime in his free moments is creating world-spanning empires.
Yeah.
Yes, because, it was bored or it amused me.
We'll get on this later, but holy shit, he is a god at this point.
He is an insanely powerful individual. But not only is he powerful, he's extraordinarily intelligent, ridiculously knowledgeable, and can play... Emmett Selk is eternal. 1,000 years of scheming is absolutely nothing to him.
No.
He'll quite happily get someone to do something fairly minor to put their great-great-grandchildren into the position that Emmett Selk actually wants. And that's the reason why him tagging along and cooperating with you is so concerning, because in a battle of wits, you will lose.
So, you meet him, you get mind-fucked as hell, and then you go into the Crystarian with him, and he explains even more shit.
Yeah, he actually goes on to explain how and why the rejoinings work. For example, he's the one that... I know I explained earlier, but I explained earlier using information that Emmett Selk gives. He's the one that explains the flow of ether from the shards to the source. He's the one that explains about the breaking of barriers. He's the one that explains how there needs to be a mirroring calamity in the source. Like, for example, the War of the Mages out to aggravate the flood. He honestly just explains the entire thing.
He just drops bombshells.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm here. I'm going.
And like
America.
I believe even after that talk, you go into your inn and talk to Arbon, and he literally goes, "Don't trust him."
Yeah, no shit, don't trust Asians.
It's like, no shit, Ardbert.
Like, oh, thanks, we've dealt with him long enough. No, don't trust him.
Even if I should have trusted him, you of all people would say don't trust him.
Yeah, because you got screwed over by him. Pretty hard.
Yeah, hang on, let me just go check the unending journey again, because I can't quite remember what is next.
We are heading to
The Rakaki Greatwoods, yeah?
It's the Raktika Greatwood, but I'm pretty sure that something else happens.
Let me check my quest.
Let me see.
Another thing that was brought up, which you can mention, is that Emmet Selk and the ExCog has been having conversations going back and forth for a while.
Yeah. No. That doesn't quite come in.
No, it doesn't quite come in yet, but just to fill that air, I forgot to mention it.
It is Raktika Greatwood.
No, before we go into the Raktika Greatwood, there is the Yulmar attack. The Yulmarans attack the Crystallarium because we've already killed 2 Light Wardens. They decide to put an end to it by just trying to burn the city to the ground.
Was that in that one? Yeah,
it was.
Yes, you are right. Sorry.
And it leads to one of the most harrowing solo instances.
I cried at the end of that.
Jesus,
not even the end of it. The instance itself is really tense.
Yeah.
Because you have to cut, because the Yulmarans don't just bring Yulmaran soldier. They bring in an army of Sin Eaters. And you have to carve your way through the army of Sin Eaters as quickly as you can, because they're butchering the Crystallarium soldiers. And you essentially have a soldier meter that's constantly ticking down. You can see their forces being decimated.
Oh god, no, it's this cutscene.
One question. Where the fuck was this in Stormblood? When we had 2 fucking wars going on?
Exactly.
But the whole thing of,
like, you are watching soldiers die. You have to run as fast as possible. Like,
let's put it this way. I was going through it as Black Mage. I was 2-shotting everything that came past, because I was fire flooring with the brilliant conviction buff that you always get in these instances, and I still felt the massive time crunch. I was rushing as quickly as I could.
With Warrior, I couldn't even pull aggro of them, so it was a pain in the ass. Like, oh crap, I can't pull it together. I can't AoE them to death.
Do you remember how many soldiers were alive? Roughly how many soldiers were alive?
No.
I think I managed to finish with 60.
Yeah, I had around 60 left too.
60.
Yeah.
I went through it as a well-geared Black Mage, absolutely shredding my way through and I still only managed to save just over half of the soldiers.
Doesn't that have the heart-wrenching scene with Arbor?
Yeah. Then this leads to the scene with Ardbert himself. Well, actually no. There's a second solo instance where you need to clear the Sin Eaters out of a fort called the Round with the help of the Scions and a few other people.
Yeah.
But then this leads to the scene which instantly makes you unreservedly sympathize with Ardbert.
Yeah.
Where there's a medic talking to a dying soldier, and the medic is desperately trying to keep the dying soldier alive, and a relatively powerful Sin Eater, because that model turns up later, and they're powerful Sin Eaters. They're Vothri's personal guard, put it like. Starts running along, and Ardbert sees it, and you can see the pain in his face. He's
he's trying to call out to the people.
Yeah, he calls out. They can't hear him. So he runs at the Sin Eater with his axe. He goes please let this work, please let this work, please let this work. And he chops at the Sin Eater and achieves nothing. He goes right through the Sin Eater like the ghost he is. And there's just a shot of Ardbert's face as you have to listen to the medic. To the medic get very loud, very messily talk. It's not just no, please, and then fade to black. There's a prolonged scene of him begging for his life as you hear these loud, almost squelching noises. I can only imagine that what was left of that poor medic was completely unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Then he turned into another Sin Eater.
Well, no.
No, he was dead.
No,
Oh, yeah, they
there,
fucking
there
devoured
wasn't enough left of him to turn into a sin eater.
But then you had your character, the Warrior of Light, and a bunch of the Crystarian soldiers walking down, like, right,
Yeah.
let's fucking end this.
And then, like, you're going off, and it's like, but I don't know. It's a really sobering contrast because even with you, like, on the march with a squadron of soldiers behind you, you would have let a lot of soldiers would have died before you managed to get there in time, and even with your, a lot of them still died, and you still had to sit through that scene with Ardbert. Ardbert did absolutely nothing wrong ever.
Yeah, he only did what he thought was right for the world, and then got fucked.
Like, honestly, even when Ardbert was trying to murder me back in 3.4, still couldn't get him. Because the only thing Ardbert ever did wrong was his job too.
Yeah.
I think your mic is cutting out a bit again, Variel.
Sorry, I think I might have needed to move it back.
No worries.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as you're saying, like, Ardbert never did anything wrong. He was the Warrior of Light, he killed the darkness, the light overtook his world, and then he tried to fix it in any way he fucking could. To save his world, his friends, and the things he cared about.
No, that's actually the thing with Ardbert, though. His story does eventually have a happy ending. With his help, you finally save the world.
Yeah.
And we couldn't have done it without him.
True. Well, we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we can get into that in more detail later.
But
Everything that he goes through, it felt he finally gets a happy ending, and it made me cry.
yes.
I'm crying right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really, really difficult to make me cry at things like all the things that people typically cry at, like, you know, Bambi's death and Bambi's mother's death and things like that. I don't cry. I mean, I get teary and sad, but I don't actually cry. I never cry. Shadowbringers made me cry multiple times.
Same. I think my count was at 5 times at least with tears running down my face, and a couple more times I got really teary-eyed.
Yeah. Let me see. So you go into the Raktika Greatwood, and this is where you find Y'shtola. And Y'shtola is leading a group of people called the Knights Blessed, who are these
people who worship the darkness.
Yes, they essentially worship the dark. Sorry, my brain short-circuited for a second because Angel's ICAM decided to focus on the arse of one of his NPCs. Yeah, I've got Angel's stream up on the other monitor so that I can see the chat, so I can respond to anything there. But God, your ICAM is shit.
I know.
Like,
That's why I want more people to come here and sit down and do emotes and stuff, so they won't just focus on the weird fucking walls and shit.
Honestly, I think that we should probably, in the future, try and avoid holding podcasts in small houses, because the iCam can't get any good views on anything.
No. That's true.
Anyway, where was I? Y'shtola is in charge of this group called the Knights Blessed, who are a group who worship the dark. Not like, you know, evil and void sent, but just like nighttime. And also, it's completely fucking understandable if someone did worship evil and void sent, considering what happened, what the light did to their
Yeah.
Anyway, the
Y'shtola fucking thought we were a city.
Yeah, I was just about to get onto that. She thought we were a sin eater, which, I mean, to be honest, that makes sense, both considering we have the Blessing of Light, but it also makes sense considering what we find out later.
Also, we have absorbed 2 light ones at this point.
Yes.
We're going to have Laether in us too.
That was almost a touching reunion. Also, which choice did you make when they were all holding you at arrow point?
Oh,
I went for Kupo. Do you know what the other thing that I have loved about this expansion is the increased number of dialogue choices have finally allowed me to properly roleplay my character.
Yeah.
Because I don't know the personality that I've always had for Variel. She is a hero through and through. She wants to save everyone and is a friend to everyone. But at the same time, she's pragmatic enough to know that that can't happen. And she's also seen enough shit to get tired of things that have happened. Like she no longer cares when people threaten her life because she knows that that's not really how it ends.
I mean, at this point, you can threaten us, you can try to kill us, you can do anything. I think most things will just bounce off the Warrior of Light at this point, right?
I mean, also the Warrior of Light is canonically immortal. It was covered. It's shown in the 3.4 final fight against the actual Warriors of Darkness. The Echo is not the Echo resurrecting you is not some in-game construct. It is actually resurrecting you. We come back from the dead in the same way the Ascians do. Except whereas the Ascians need to use a dark crystal, the air quotes crystal that we use to come back from the dead is Heidelin herself.
Yeah, and that's also the reason Xenos just like, okay, you beat me, whatever, chop my head off, we'll see you later.
Yeah, like, honestly, actually, I honestly think when he did that he didn't think he was going to come back, because Xenos does honestly strike me as the person who would just go, wow, I've finally been beat. I guess I'll kill myself.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I mean, we don't
no
know
more
that
fight to
conclusively
fight.
yet, but yeah, both of those could be true.
He finally found someone who beat him, so we just
No more fight to fight.
Yeah.
No more life to live.
Speaking of which, I love the way that they worked that line in at the end of Shadowbringers.
Get
God,
that later.
just the entire end. Like my friend got to that point shortly before the early morning maintenance. So
same.
He had to go to bed, but he couldn't get to sleep because he was literally shaking from the hype.
But
we
find your solar. We help Light Blessed. We learn their customs of purifying of light.
Which I could understand. Again, that's a more prolonged like fetch quest sequence, and I can understand why some people might find it annoying. But I just enjoyed finding out about the Raktika Greatwood and the Knight's Blessed and what happened with Ishtola. I don't mind if I had to run around watering crops.
Also, I just want to say this now. Prepare for incoming Angel Rage.
No.
Is this about the Katara Revel?
Just wait. We'll get
Fuck
to that point.
that temple.
Okay, so let me see.
Let's get to that point.
So yeah, come on. Let me. I am the one in charge here. I am the host.
Go for it, my dude.
Anyway, so after the, I'm trying to remember exactly where this goes. After this, we Yulmore starts turning up and causing problems, but can't remember exactly what happens before. But we continue from the Knight's Blessed onto the other half of the Katara Revel, the other half of the Raktika Greatwood.
Don't we learn about the other people worshipping the night and try to infiltrate them?
That's it, the Children of the Dark, which leads to my favorite infiltration, where we use smoke bombs to knock out bees, shove bees in bags, and essentially do the equivalent of throwing a pair of angry hornets through someone's back window.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh my god, that made me laugh so hard.
High level strats. Oh my god.
Peak B. It's like I'm about to go all Dragon Age Inquisition, Children of the Dark. We end up having to fight with the Children of the Dark a bit. The story honestly gets a little bit fuzzy between then and.
Rocky comes to the Knight's Blessed with the Children of the Dark, saying, "Okay, the Children of the Dark have accepted our ways. Now you have to accept their way."
Yeah, which I mean, not only are the Children of the Dark bank people, they're also cucks. Well, no, they were willing. The Children of the Dark are an extremely fanatical group of light worshippers who believe that everything about the light is abhorrent. They live in the dark, they love poison, and they love killing people to free them from the light, so they say. And yet they were just willing to roll over and show their bellies to Yulmore, a society which is founded on worship of the light.
Well, probably because they said, like, we're gonna destroy your enemies and your religion is gonna be the thing here.
Yeah, but again, it's kind of like the equivalent of a Christian minister allowing a bunch of cannibalistic pedophiles to take over the region. Like, Yulmore literally stands for absolutely everything the Children of the Night hate. With such fanatical zeal, they will happily murder people to drop a hat for supporting those ideas, and yet they will roll over to get control of the region while being under.
Yeah.
So not only are they a bunch of reprehensible, morally bankrupt zealots, they're also cucks too.
That might be because Yulmore had problems before even setting foot in the Rakita Great Woods, so just handing it over to these zealots to complete their current objective might not be something they would be opposed to, because they don't fucking care about the area anyway.
Well, yeah, no, from Yulmore's point of view, it makes absolute sense. I'm saying the Children of the Night are just a cucks for accepting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
They're literally getting it from the people who are the absolute antithesis of everything they stand for. Anyway, after that, you continue to, you can still bow with the community, which is the community where the Children of the Night live. Proceeds to try and delay Ranjit and the Yulmoran soldiers, while you go to Fanau, which is where the V, who are a group of very insular Viera live. Oh yeah, you also had to fish up a Ronkan seal from under the lake, which only you could do because you can breathe underwater.
Yep.
And using that Ronkan seal, you a minute of super poison.
Yep.
It's like a poison that lasts for a minute and ticks for 9k damage.
Was it that bad?
Yes.
It really was.
Wow.
Like, I didn't get afflicted with it because I'm good at puzzles, but someone who's there with me got afflicted with it. And I could just constantly see like 9k, 10k, 9.5k, 8k, 10k, just like coming off them like a cat shedding fur.
Wow, I fucked that up at least twice because I was pretty tired when I did it. I can't remember I was even in like any sort of danger though.
It's because you have a regen without battle. If you went into battle, shit would have went down.
Ah,
yes.
okay.
Also, it's not a surprise you can't remember. I know like when.
Sorry, you're cutting out there.
It's not a surprise that you can't remember. I know what you're.
I know what you're what? Sorry, I can't. It's cutting out for me.
Am I okay for you, Shanko?
Good enough. Yeah, for now.
Hang on. Let me leave and rejoin.
Again, seems working now.
It cut off for me twice, sir. I couldn't make that out at all.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. That's much better. I was just gonna say, it's no surprise you don't remember. I know what you get like when you're actually genuinely tired.
Yeah.
I'm like, zombie.
Anyway, after this, we head over to some Ronkan ruins and have to solve a puzzle, which I massively overthought. Like it literally took me 2 minutes to solve the puzzle. Not because I didn't get the puzzle, but because the puzzle was far less complex than I thought it was. Because it was like the puzzle was like I can't remember what the actual riddle was, but it was 4 lines long. So I thought, okay, I need to activate 4 statues in sequence. No, it was just a fucking owl.
Yep. I got it first try.
Me too, and I didn't even think about it much. I was like, repeat the riddle. Owl. Okay.
No, it's like I thought. Okay, the owl is definitely the last one because that's the symbol of royalty in this kingdom, and then the next one is this because it's facing away from the tower, and this one is this because the 2 statues are facing apart, and then the first one has got to be those 2 because they're facing together. No, I massively overthought the puzzle.
I'm happy I didn't overthink Jesus.
Yeah, it's like I've become too smart to solve this puzzle.
Okay, Emmett Selk, gosh.
I relate to Emmett Selk because I too hate reality and am far more intelligent than the people around me. I don't actually think that.
No.
And then you get into the amazing single player instance that Angel loved.
I failed that thing 5 or 6 times.
Oh yeah, so basically for anyone who hasn't done it, stop listening to the podcast, but if you really don't care about spoilers, you have to sneak through a Ronkan temple, and it would be really cool if it wasn't for one fact. The NPCs who are with you can alert the Guardians.
Yes! Fuck them!
Which, and essentially the Guardians there afflict you with the curse of terminal ligma. Where the more stacks, essentially what they do is they try to depress you into killing yourself. the more stacks you get, the more depressed you come, and once you hit a certain number of stacks, which I don't know, none of my friends know, but apparently Angel knows, your character just kills themselves.
Yeah, if you get like 12 plus stacks, you just die, basically.
It's more than that.
15?
Like, one of my friends went up to 30 stacks and survived.
Because when I reached like 15 stacks, my character just died.
Guys, I just want to say this now. I didn't die in that whatsoever.
The thing is, like, they told me, oh, you have to sneak in here. So I was like, okay, observing the guard movement. Right, there's my opening. Go through it. Go to the first door. And then I get aggro because the fucking NPCs didn't follow me because they had more dialogue still.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's what you get for rushing ahead from the dialogue.
I didn't get any stacks whatsoever.
I only got caught by the very first one because the NPCs moved slightly after me, so they got spotted by the Temple Guardian. But thankfully, the NPCs didn't cause me problems in any of the later areas.
Yeah.
But after we do that, we managed to recover the MacGuffin, and it more or less leads onto the Katara Revel.
No,
Ranjit showed up first.
Yeah, we have Ranjit in the temple.
Oh yeah, Ranjit was at the end of the temple, and first of all, there's this guy called the Yulmoran adjunct following Ranjit, and this guy must have been an absolute legend because he was keeping up with Ranjit, and he was the only guy that was keeping up with Ranjit. You gotta be something to keep up with a guy like Ranjit.
Yeah.
But
he fucked up.
They get caught in a trap which causes the floor to crumble away. So you, Ishtola, Ranjit, and
the guard,
the Yulmoran adjunct all get stuck on the other side of this massive pit, and he tries to use the antidote. Oh yeah, you find out that the children of the dark poisoned a bunch of children. Among the Knights Blessed, and he tries to use the antidote to bargain for his freedom, and Ranjit just goes, "You're a filthy traitor," and fucking dragon kicks him.
What is it?
This is Ranjit.
No, what is it? Their lives is up to sacrifice, and so is yours.
Oh yeah,
and he just kicks him off.
Yeah, and what was it? So Ishtola jumps after to snatch the antidote, throws up to you, at which point, I don't know, I didn't actually think Ishtola was dead.
No one did.
No one did.
Because a sacrifice like that is not Ishtola's style.
No.
And then you burst of wind comes to the cavern.
And then Urianger and Thancred come in, and the way they managed to beat Ranjit is even better than the Execution Break.
Yeah.
Basically, Urianger uses rescue to drag Ranjit into the pit, and then to distract him and knock him down into the pit, Thancred jumps at Ranjit, smacks him with his gun blade, and then backflips over him to get onto your side.
So fucking epic.
So basically, Ranjit, so far, we decide to stop him properly, and he kicks the ever-loving shit out of us. So instead, he gets stopped by break and being dragged into a pit by rescue.
He can't fucking deal with the utility.
He can't catch a break.
Great DPS, shit utility.
Like, the moment Justola fell down that hole, though, I was like, she's not fucking dead, she's just Gandalfing it, she'll be back soon.
This does lead to a really character-defining moment for Emmett Selk, though.
Yeah.
Where
oh god, yeah.
When you find out that Ishtola used flow to escape because you described the gust of wind, Emmett Selk is like, without being prompted, by the way, he just goes, "Fine, I'll save her." Everyone's like, wait, what? He just goes, "Well, of course I can drag her out of the live stream. Who do you think I am? Warrior of Light. Take this glowing sphere and go find me a good location to get Ishtola." And he literally just walks up to the location you find and just snaps. And Ishtola just appears.
Can we just bring that into a point?
Oh, yeah.
What he does for everything is snap. When he stole the Crystal Tower's power of the ExCog, saying, "Can I play with your toy?" he snapped into fucking working.
God damn, I wish to be as stylish as Emmett Selk.
And the best thing about that scene, though, is like Yustola comes out of the live stream.
Again and gives
No-
her clothes.
Yeah, exactly. She comes out naked. He was like, "No, we can't have this indecency." Fixed.
Not in my family-friendly, emotionally traumatic expansion.
Oh, so fucking good.
And that was a fantastic moment for Emmett Selk. And I believe this is the point where we basically go to the Katara Revel.
Yeah,
Is
we
it?
go to the dungeon.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, we usually go to the
Horus
dungeon
too.
after that because Yustola was going to get pissed off if we didn't search him.
Yeah. So anyway, we go into the Katara Revel, and the dungeon itself is
Fucking amazing.
It is. Hang on. It is an absolute step up from Holminster Switch or Don Meg. Like, it's not just the bosses that are great. Everything is great. For example, the very first thing you encounter when you get into there is a mini boss called I believe it's called the Ronkan Dreamer, and it's a moderately powerful mage, but he'll get statues on the sides of the tunnel you're fighting him in to shoot lasers out of their eyes across the arena. So you need to hide behind rubble, and he'll change which side he shoots from. So you need to switch back and forth between the rubble.
Can I just say, when me and Angel did that dunk, we had a healer we was in comms with, and all we did was like, nah, fuck that, we'll just stand here.
Yep.
Oh, that poor healer.
He did fine.
No, because one reason. Warrior at 76 has a lovely ability called Nascent Flash. Cool.
Nascent. Nascent. Sorry, I swear to God, no warrior I've encountered has been able to pronounce it properly.
No one cares.
Like, I found one of the warriors in RFC calls it Nescent.
Right.
Nescent?
It's a fantasy game. We can call it whatever the fuck we want.
No, shut up. That's not a defense.
Yes, it is.
In fact, the best part is he didn't just call it Nescent Flash. He called it Nescent Glare for some reason.
Because it gives glare. Oh no, because it gives glint. What? Okay, no.
Yeah. Well, I want to know where the hell he got. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Rendo. Anyway, I'll name and shame that degenerate on a podcast. It's Nascent Flash and Nascent Glint.
Cool, I'm going to do it for the rest of the podcast. So we have Nascent Flash, which literally just goes, okay.
It doesn't annoy me when I know you're when you know you're doing it just to annoy me.
Yeah, but no, I've been calling Nascent Flash the entire time. No, okay.
Necessant glare. Anyway, back to the Katara Revel. The Katara Revel is a fantastic dungeon just all the way through. Like, the first boss... I can't remember. No, what was the first boss again?
Okay. This is such a memorable dungeon.
No, the problem is, the reason why we're forgetting it is because the second and third bosses were just that good.
Yeah.
That's the defense I'll use.
Yes.
The Katara Revel...
Give me a few minutes to YouTube.
Well, okay. Anyway, we can go on to the second boss, which I love because of just how absolutely ridiculous it is. It feels more like a Dragon Quest boss than a Final Fantasy boss. But it's the Bat Squatch.
Oh, the first boss is Boulder Fist, named
oh yeah,
Lazati.
Yeah, that's it. It's like this giant golem, which it uses a similar mechanic to the Ronkan Dreamer, where it'll have like statues blast lasers across one half of the arena. I guess it's kind of like the half laser used by Kefka in his second phase, the first phase of the statue.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he has another attack which he'll use, where he'll sweep his fist across the entire arena, which knocks you up, gives you a vuln stack. So you need to dodge both of those attacks, and if the tank isn't careful with positioning, this happened once for me, there is no safe space. One half of the arena is affected by laser, and the other half is affected by swinging punch. No, but the infinitely more interesting boss is the Bat Squatch after it.
Yeah. Oh god, fuck him with his AoEs.
The bat, like mechanically speaking, the Bat Squatch is a heal check because he has like a really rough raid wide where he'll just like jump up and down, and each hit only does about 7-8k damage, but you get like 20 hits.
Yeah.
There's also the falling pillars. He drops the stalactites, and some of them are some of them are extra large and stick in the ground and then fall over and drop onto you.
Yeah.
Thankfully, unlike Hashmal, they don't instantly kill you.
They hurt though.
They hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Can I say at this point while we're on this dungeon got some really good looking gear.
Such good.
It's got
the
this
one.
gorgeous Mesoamerican look to it. Which also, like, by the way, I like the fact that the Ronkin gear is similar. When I get my hands on the Ronkin gear, I'm just going to use it as my glam. I'm not going to glam anything over it. Which is the first time I will have ever done that with any, like, Tombstone or Raid gear.
Oh, yeah. Most of that stuff is not really top-notch, but this time it feels like most of it is really nice, actually.
They've really outdone themselves with the Ronkin design.
Yes.
But to be honest, you could say that about everything. I can't think of a single thing in this expansion they haven't outdone themselves with.
No.
Even Astro, they've outdone themselves on the cock-up on that.
Is it that bad?
No, but at the same time, yes.
Okay.
I don't understand a new Astro.
Like, I think the issue with Astro is that they kind of Square Enix. Sit back down, you're being noisy. The issue with Square Enix is that they have a bad habit of finding multiple solutions to a problem and then implementing them both. So, which means that they go too far. Like, for example, with Alexander, they introduced a normal mode so that people could play it for the story, and it wouldn't be as ball-bustingly difficult as Coils was. But at the same time, they also made it not directly relate to the story.
Yeah.
So that's two solutions, and they implemented both, even though only one of them was necessary. And I think they did the same thing with Astro, where the big problem with Astro was the cards. The cards gave so much utility, but the real issue of it is the randomness of the utility, which made it really difficult to properly balance Astro. So what they did is they changed the card system from the old system to the new one. And I actually honestly prefer the new one. I've mentioned this to you before, Angel, because with the old system, every time you got like a spread balance immediately or save the life of the tank's life with bowl, there'd be 10 times where you got an extended spire and had to completely clear your hand.
Basically.
Or something stupid like that. But the issue is that they also, if they just changed the card system, it wouldn't have been as bad. But they also removed a bunch of other stuff, like they removed Astro's time magic, which and they nerfed some of Astro's heals. Like the regen on Celestial Opposition is a lot weaker than it used to be, and they've just completely removed the regen on Collective Unconsciousness is weaker than it used to be. They also turned Celestial Opposition from what it was before to the absolute worst heal in the entire game.
Wow.
Let me switch back to my Astro. There we go. So Celestial Opposition originally was an AoE stun that would also extend the duration of any beneficial effects you put onto other people, and also on yourself. So you could use it to other people, you could use it to extend regens and card effects. And on yourself, you could use it to extend whatever the bloody hell you wanted. You could even use it to extend sprint. But now it's been turned to a 60 potency regen. And it's still on a 2-minute cooldown.
Why?
And its its cure potency is 100, which is the same as aspected Helios. So essentially, Celestial Opposition has been turned into a weaker aspected Helios, and it's still on a 2-minute cool. It's just terrible. And they've also just straight up removed time dilation.
Okie dokie. Back to the story before we get trapped in all this class discussion
I'm
again.
done.
Yeah.
I'm done. Anyway, I was just saying, I think the reason why people are pissed off with Astro is more to do with the removal of the time magic than the change to the cards. So the Katara Ravel, then the second. So after Bat Squatch, you get Hullbreaker Isle Savage,
Oh, we
where you get a bunch of Sin Eater gorillas spitting at you.
Yeah.
No, they're not
It's
spitting. They're throwing signature poo.
No, they're spitting at you. It's called Saint Spit. It's called
It's
Saint
poo.
Spitter. It's worse than poo. They're spitting on you.
How is
It's
spitting on someone
disrespect-
worse than throwing shit at them?
Because it's disrespectful.
Okay.
I think throwing shit is more disrespectful than spitting at someone.
Anyway, they're spitting on us. It's called Saints. Although, to be honest, you could just easily call it Saint Shitter instead. So the final boss is, I think, my second favorite Light Warden design. I'm not going to include the final Light Warden because that's something.
I mean,
we also probably shouldn't mention who the final Light Warden is
No, we
because we are
shouldn't.
trying to keep a bit of an order.
yeah. Like, you can't deny Cerberus Rafiki.
Yeah.
Well, it's better than that. It's like this. It's essentially what a chimera would be if you asked a Mayan or an Aztec to design it. It's like it's the body of a panther with the head of a mandrill and the head of 2 wolves and a jungle snake for a tail. It's a jungle chimera.
Basically,
This
yeah.
boss.
Also, just
Really?
the mechanical design of it was fun too.
Oh yeah.
Like the breathe in and breathe out with the poison puddles, or the marker on 2 people and you need to run to the edge to avoid his big conal flamethrower.
Yeah.
It was a really good fight all around, and yeah.
Again, like the dungeons in this expansion have been fantastic so far. Like,
top notch.
yeah, there are a handful of fantastic dungeons from older
We
expansions.
haven't even got to my favorite.
Like, let me see. Like, for example, I love the Burn. I actually
Yeah.
do genuinely like the Burn. Kugane Castle, Alamigo, and Doma Castle are great.
Hmm.
Everyone loves Bardam's Metal because it's just so different.
Yeah.
Even back in Heaven's Ward, there's the Google Libraries, both of them, the Anti-Tower.
Oh yeah. the
Those
Antitower.
are standouts. So far, the worst dungeon in Shadowbringers is at the same level as like the Vault or the Anti-Tower or Bardam's Metal.
Or Grimlet Dark.
There are mixed feelings on Gimlet Dark.
No, yeah, I liked it.
As a story piece, Gimlet Dark is fantastic. But as a dungeon, it's...
Okay, I liked it, but
I like it, but I don't think it's a good dungeon.
okay. No.
I guess that's a good more accurate way of it. Anyway, so once we of course kill this Light Warden and move on, and this is where Ishtola starts talking with Uriange about how she's concerned about the sheer amount of light that we're drawing into our body. Because even with the blessing of Hydaelyn, this is basically all the light of a world consumed by light. That's a lot of light. Like, forget turning into a Light Warden, a lesser man would just exploded in the magical equivalent of a thermonuclear blast.
Basically, yeah.
So,
like, these are creatures who are so powerfully aspected to light, they have turned the entire area around them into eternal day just simply by being there. Their mere presence will warp people into Sin Eaters, and we've just eaten 3 of them.
yep. We've got Night back in the Great Wood.
Which obviously has made the children of the Blessed Night, the Knights Blessed very, very happy. And I'm happy because they're happy. Because the Knights Blessed were a really nice group of people.
They were. And the other group, which I can't remember the name of, they were just like,
Children
oh!
of the Everlasting Dark.
Yeah, Children of the Everlasting Dark. They just looked up and be like, oh, I guess all our beliefs were wrong, and we need to reevaluate our lives. See you guys later.
Or at least they were like,
Okay.
hey, the night is back. We've found our strange plan has worked. Let's go continue breeding spiders.
Yes.
Let
Or just mass suicide by poison. Whatever works.
me see. I'm trying to.
And,
I don't need to go to the unending journey. I can just use my own quest journey.
Guys, I think we got something wrong.
What?
Because I believe now is the Sinier attack. Because I got the quest when it rains.
Oh yeah. now is the Sin Eater. Now is when it rains. So yeah, this is the instance we were talking about earlier with the soldiers being butchered and heartburnt. This, like, the whole thing though is really depressing. It's got like that slow, melancholic music going, even though it's really intense. It's raining. It's really
even fucking Alice like covers like, oh, perfect weather for rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the leaves everywhere from the trees. I just remember that was such a good touch.
Oh yeah, there were no leaves on any.
Yeah.
Can we please set us a G-post filter?
What?
We have to up. Oh well.
Right. So I guess after this
Is our lament.
is the second half of Amarang, where essentially Miniphilia, the last time she went to the south of Amarang, she was able to talk to actual Minphilia. The reason why we're drawing a distinction is because the Minphilias are not Minphilia reincarnated. They are different people.
Yeah.
Yes.
They just look like Minphilia because they're very closely linked to her. I guess a better explanation would be they're not reincarnations, they're more like echoes.
Yeah.
But they are different people. And Miniphilia says that she reckons that if she goes to the south of Amarang, where she encountered Minphilia last time, she'll be able to gain Minphilia's powers, and as the Oracle of Light, she'll gain powers that allow her to see where the Light Wardens are, because you have absolutely no idea where the Light Warden in Amarang is, and with Yumel breathing down your neck, you don't have the chance to look.
No. And then we go on the largest fucking side quest ever.
Except it was fine, okay? Quiet you.
We help a mining town rebuild a.
It's weird though, because we go there and it's like a cowboy boom town.
Yeah.
It's not like the weird desert ruins on the other half of Amarang. It felt like we'd stepped into the Wild West.
Basically, yeah. It felt a bit
no.
out of place in my opinion, but it kind of works, I guess.
I appreciated it also because the world that we have in Shadowbringers at the moment is very like strange and fragmented. So walking into a cowboy boom town certainly fit the mood. But we eventually continue on to a mining town called Twine, and we need to head south, but there's a massive gate barring our way. So what we need to do is we need to figure out how to fix the Talos. A few things happen between us turning on an Amarang and us going to Twine. For example, we bump into and in the confusion attack a group of miners from Twine trying to salvage the Talos train yard for lumber. Anyway, we find out that there's a gate blocking our way to the south, and it's so huge there's no way we can get through it. But we could get through it by fixing a Talos, because the gates are designed to open when Talos come near. So what leads is the most emotionally invested chain of fetch quests I've done in this game.
Yep.
Magnus is a tragic character, and
Oh yeah.
You essentially need the help of Magnus to fix the Talos, except he is an absolute drunken wreck of a man. His children were killed by Sin Eaters, and his wife died in a mining accident. As I'm sure everyone has picked up by this point, everywhere is terrible in Shadowbringers. Everything is sad.
Yep.
Yeah, like even Yulmore, the place that's supposed to be happy, is just like...
Twisted and poisoned.
Yeah.
It's my favorite expansion.
Anyway, it's like, it's made me sad and depressed and cry and very, very times, and I've loved it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the first thing that you need to do is, also this might seem like we're going into a bit of unnecessary detail, but fixing the Talos comes into play later, and quite possibly the single greatest set piece in this entire game.
Yes.
Actually, no, it is the greatest set piece in this game.
Let's get there.
It is.
We shall grasp the firmament and drag it down.
Let's get there.
I'm so fucking hyped.
Yeah.
I feel the second-hand hype from just thinking about that. Anyway, where were we? So we need to fix the Talos. So the first part of fixing the Talos comes from finding a Talos, but that's relatively fast because there's a wrecked Talos in town which is missing a heart. So we need to go find a heart, which requires us to dredge a very rare material called limonite.
Limonite, that was
from the mines, which, by the way, it's a weird name to use because in real life that's just simply a form of coal.
Okay.
Although coal is rare.
Although to be fair, the limonite was black, so maybe it's like magic etherically infused coal. I mean, to be fair, it is a coal mine, so I guess it does kind of make sense that it would be like magic coal. Anyway, once we get the heart, Urianger works on fixing it, and we're treated to a very depressing scene where a drunken, emotionally distraught Magnus walks up to the Talos and starts like hitting it in the leg. Because we find out that the heart of limonite that we find was one that was found by his wife shortly before she died in the maniacs. We got it because it got carried off by the first's equivalent of a goblin, which we then proceeded to kill for its shiny rocks. And we show Magnus this, and he like comes along and is like, "My wife died for this pile of rocks," and he's just like starts crying and drunkenly bashing on it, and it hurts to watch.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that robot doesn't have a defense protocol and just smacked him.
We're glossing over a lot of the detail because it's not important to the story as a whole, but the quests there do make you care for Magnus and everyone else entwined.
Magnus.
Sorry?
Thancred shows a bit of character with Magnus.
Oh yeah.
We also get more information about Thancred. This expansion really completes Thancred's character arc.
Yeah.
Because he becomes like a father to Minfilia, but
he was really hard on her up until these points in the story.
It was also hard on him as well.
Oh yeah.
Because there was a lot of tension between the two of them, but
because he thought it was Minfilia, the person he loved so dearly, but it turned out it wasn't.
Yeah.
Basically. In so many few words.
Yep.
Anyway, later, once we get the Talos going, we get to a really like blood-pumping, enjoyable, like feel-good theme. Like, see, you be quiet. where like the Talos is pushing us along, and the thumping of its legs sounds like a train engine, and Magnus and everyone else in Twine is happy again because we breathed some hope into the town, and everyone in the Scions looks forward to it. Like they're both literally looking forward and metaphorically looking forward. And then just as we pass through the gate, Ranjit comes out of absolutely nowhere like the fucking Kool-Aid man, and he dragon kicks the trolley so hard he destroys it, sends us flying, and throws the Talos back. we then get treated to everyone else runs away except for Thancred, who stays behind, or we get treated to an absolutely god-tier solo instance where we play as Thancred. And by the way, this is what I meant when I said that I feel like Stormblood laid the foundations for Shadowbringers, because some of the best instances in these ones are the role-playing instances where we're someone else, and that was a thing added in Stormblood. Anyway, Thancred proceeds to fight Ranjit, and props to fucking Thancred, he actually manages to fight Ranjit to a standstill. He uses Minfilia. Minfilia imbues Thancred's gunbreaker ammunition because he can't control Aether anymore. He still can't do it, even though he's now on the first in technically a different body. and he gave a training cartridge to Minfilia, and over the years he's been with Minfilia, because he's been with Minfilia for over 3 years. She's just been constantly imbuing it with more and more power, and at the very end he uses it on Ranjit, and we find out what happens when you stuff 3 years worth of magic into a tiny piece of metal. It nukes the fuck out of Ranjit so hard he has to run away, nearly kills Thancred as well, and blinds the player.
I actually thought that... I mean, they built it up so hard there. I actually thought that was Tancred's last hurrah.
Yeah, like, that you get treated to this, like, gorgeous sequence of Thancred talking about his past and how he doesn't have any more regrets. And he's so glad he got one more chance to be with Minfilia, even if it wasn't his Minfilia. And it sounded so much like final words. I actually panicked. Like, I wasn't just sad, I actually panicked. I was like, oh god, no, Thancred's dead, and I almost rode my mount back over to where he was. But then I realized, no, I gotta continue on. And so...
I thought he was dead. I did. I thought he was dead.
Fuck that smug jammy bastard, I'll throttle that playboy. His response... Like, when we... I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, and I'll jump back in a second, but when we go back to find him, and I was like, oh god, no, he's dead, and he comes back into view, and I see him, and it's like, oh, thank god. I had breathed an audible sigh of relief, and my friend who was uncool poked fun at me for it. But his response when you first talk to him, I can't remember his exact words, but it's that same glib Thancred smugness, and I wanted to fucking throttle him. How dare you put me through that?
Fuck you and fuck everyone around you.
We also had Ranjit's second form.
Oh yeah, that's it. So Ranjit has been being followed around by this weird serpent. We're like, what's this? Only for him to turn it into a suit of Monster Hunter armor and a giant scythe.
So where's that cast coming out? Square Enix?
Hey, they did say they were going to be releasing Beastmaster at some point.
That's true, actually.
Oh,
wow.
Shit, yeah.
It is going to be released as a limited job, though, so current enthusiasm team play. I honestly, though, the thing is, a lot of the classes that are being released as limited jobs, if they were to be released as a full job, they would have to strip out all of the interest. I mean, what are you going to do with a Beastmaster? Make it a pet class? We already have 2 of those. Technically 3. Technically 4.
What are you going to do with Blue Mage rotation if they actually made it a real job? Fuck if I know. Throw fish at people, XD.
I can understand why some people are annoyed, but I believe that the introduction of the limited jobs is actually a good thing, because it allows you to introduce these classes with all their interest and flavor, and give us a secondary thing to do, without completely screwing up the core balance of the game as well.
Yeah, I just think, like, the way they unveiled Blue Mage, that what pissed people off more than anything.
The reveal was the actual idea, because, like, everyone was bugging Yoshi P for ages for Blue Mage, and eventually Yoshi P goes, yeah, okay, we'll give you Blue Mage. And then, like, 3 months later, he's like, here's Blue Mage, it's a limited job, and everyone proceeded to have a fucking stroke.
And then I was like, yay! What's a limited job?
I don't mind, though. I actually like it. I don't do it a whole lot at the moment because I got other things to do, especially now Shadowbringers has dropped. But the Masked Carnival was actually really...
It was fun for what it was, and like it's a good way to get allied seals if you want that still.
Also, if they ever add Shed Fates to like the older areas, I'm totally gonna do it as Blue Mage.
Yeah, fuck, that's a good idea actually.
Also, I think the reason why you couldn't take Blue Mage into Palace of the Dead is because its level cap is 50 and Palace of the Dead cap's at 60. And once they finally raise Blue's level cap to 60, we'll be able to take it into Palace of the Dead.
And that will probably either be super broken or super underpowered. Regardless, it will be a fun experiment.
It will be broken as shit, but this is Palace of the Dead we're talking about. It doesn't really matter.
Oh, imagine the speed running you can do in the XP level you can get in there.
Yeah,
oh my
like
God.
if they honestly, if they allow you to take Blue Mage into the into Palace of the Dead, it's going to single-handedly revive Blue Mage because I think the issue with Blue Mage is there wasn't really anything that you could like do with it once you'd already done it. Pardon me, but like speed runs of Blue Mage speed runs in Palace of the Dead, that would definitely become a thing.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, back to Monster Hunter Rangi. That was cool.
That was such a fucking good instance. Holy shit.
Yes, it was so fun. Just playing as Thancred and like, fucking Thancred almost killed himself. Like he looked like shit at the end of the instance. Like his gear was covered in dirt. He was bleeding all over.
And I was like, I maybe want to take up Gunblader now because this seems cool as fuck, even though we only got like 5 abilities.
Yeah, but like, actually that's another thing that I do really like about the roleplay instances. Even if we do only get like a small handful of abilities, the fact that we get to play as someone else makes up for it.
Yeah.
And even if, and the thing is, they're not just a one-to-one for the class either. Like Thancred Thancred had things that a Gunbreaker doesn't.
Nah, just like you stole that when we played as her on the Nadam revival, like it was different, but it was super fun to do, and like that limit breaker, wow.
Yeah, we may have only had Stone, Arrow, and Cure, and that may have been boring to play, but the actual instance itself more than made up for it. Beating the shit out of Little Sun.
Little Sun?
Little Sun!
Oh, he deserves it. Can we please revisit that zone and get him a wife at some point, though?
I really do hope that they bring back Magnus. Sorry, Magnus and Sadu, because they were great characters.
Yeah, agreed. So we beat Ranjit.
After that, there's the scene where Miniphilia talks to the actual Minphilia, and the scene was so heartwarming and wholesome yet bittersweet at the same time.
I cried.
Shadowbringers, you've done the impossible. You've actually made me happy to see Minphilia. the whole scene, while it was touching, it essentially boiled down to Minphilia is now gone. She passed her strength onto Miniphilia.
Or Ryan.
Give it a second.
Yeah.
Because that's immediately after this.
Okay, sorry.
And passed it a lot, and she passed on her strength to Minphilia. And when you get out of the instance, you get like a visual change of this. Miniphilia now doesn't look like Minphilia anymore. She has bright red hair, and she now has normal eyes instead of those strange blue ones.
And I have to applaud Yoshi P for picking the best hair color in the world.
Yeah. all I could think of is, oh no, she's an adorable, cute girl with red hair and strange magical powers. You absolutely, positively must never let her anywhere near Ilmeg ever again, or the Fae will steal her.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, this leads to the single most heartwarming scene in Shadowbringers, Fight Me, where you find Thancred is alive, and everyone decides to give Miniphilia a name because she's a different person and she deserves a name. So Thancred decides to name her Reen, which is the Fae word for blessing, which that does also prompt a hilarious double take from Urianger, where he basically goes, "Wait, you were listening when I was
I was like crying and then start laughing through my tears when that happened. You're just like, wait, what?
That's people. A lot of people have been talking about how the Shadowbringers has done a great job of making us feel both sad and heartwarmed at the same time. But the comedy in this expansion has been absolutely on point as well.
The few times that they implemented it, like it hasn't been that many moments, but then it was so good.
Yeah. Also, in the more goofy story, like for example when we're dealing with the Pixies, thank Red trying to deal with the damn Pixies. Also, I gotta say, whoever thought it would be a good idea to give us a minute-long mega slow when we finally find that plant should be throttled.
Yep.
I literally just sat down, went away, and grabbed a drink from the fridge.
So, I would say you missed a cutscene.
Oh?
With Minfilia using the other spirits of the Warriors of Light in this world to stop the flood.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
It explains why Ardbert was left behind, because the 4 other Warriors of Darkness sacrificed themselves to help Minfilia, and then oh god, that also. Why does everything involving Ardbert have to be so sad?
Yeah.
And it was like, no, this is my sacrifice to make. You can't take this away from me. And Minfilia said, no, you've got to stay behind.
You still have a role to play.
At which point, Ardbert proceeded to be trapped in another 100 years of torment.
Fucking hell.
It's just like
Poor dude.
Poor fucking Ard.
This guy literally killed himself to get to our planet, to fail, to then fail in saving his world for another 100 years and
Well,
deal
no,
with that guilt.
that's the thing. He didn't fail. He succeeded.
Yes.
He stopped the flood, but his success wasn't enough. I think that's the more tragic thing about Ardbert. Isn't that he fails, it's that he succeeds, but his success is never enough.
Yeah.
It's like a tragic inverse of our story.
Yeah. Well, that was a heart-wrenching scene.
Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway, pretty much immediately after Reen has her powers and we get that adorable scene with the Scions, she uses her powers to locate the Light Warden, which leads to the Malik as well.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and by the way, I'm not sure if they've updated. I'm just gonna go check to see if they updated it in. Yep, nope, they still haven't.
Huh?
The names of the trials and dungeons and Shadowbringers aren't in the auto-translate dictionary yet.
That's weird.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oversight.
it's. I mean, I could understand if it was deliberate, because you don't want people to accidentally spoil things for themselves with the auto-translate dictionary of all things. But I have to use the auto-translate dictionary for my FC's method of calling out for content. So it's made calling out for content a bit frustrating.
Oh, understandable. One thing
Oh, yeah.
before we go into
By the
that
way,
dungeon.
by the
Yeah.
way, I guess for anyone looking at watching this either now or in the future, auxiliaries on Lich, we are always looking for more people. We're an active FC with all of the FC perks, like a house, actions. We've actually got grade 3 actions going now sometimes. Tight-knit, friendly community.
Yeah, he seemed like a nice bunch.
I mean,
one
hey,
thing.
Angel runs stuff with us. He likes the people that he's met from our FC.
Yeah, definitely. I haven't met one asshole or bad egg from when I've done stuff with you.
I wouldn't let bad X in.
No.
I'm a very active FC league. Like if you look at the action log of our FC, it's almost all me. I don't micromanage the FC. I'm not harassing people. I just take a very active role in looking after the FC and making sure that it's the best it can be for the people in it. The fact that there's only like 18 people in the FC certainly helps.
Like it does. We're on the same size with Mario FC now, and having that tight knit community is a lot nicer than being 1 in 500.
Like, that's not to say that you can't have a social group, an active large FC, but it's something different with a smaller FC.
It is. One thing I would like to mention before we move on to the next dungeon. Thancred was pretty dickish to Minimi all throughout the story up until that point. And then he basically became her father and said, you're a part of my family now, because I never really had a real family.
Yeah, the point, but it's not just like a point slitch. The point is that as he was lying on the ground after Ranjit beat him to within an inch of his life, And also, that was kind of Thancred's own response because, okay, the guy literally has a stealth technique where he cuts off the flow of aether into his body to render himself perfectly invisible. For people who don't quite understand what that means, it basically means that he removes the soul force keeping him alive.
Yikes.
He cripples himself during the fight using the technique, but it's the only way that he can beat out Ranjit. Because the old man is an absolute force of nature.
Yeah.
Basically. So yeah, 57 dungeon, right?
Anyway, yeah, so that's Malika's Wells, which
Was it really like that was kind of a low point of a dungeon in Shadowbringers?
the Malika's Well is the worst dungeon in Shadowbringers, but it's still a really fun dungeon.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good still.
Like it's the low point, but worst doesn't mean bad.
No, definitely not.
Final boss, I would say, was still pretty fucking on point.
Oh yeah,
god, yeah,
like,
that boss is amazing.
also just the design of the Light Warden itself, it's like something straight out of the old Bible.
Yeah,
You know
straight
how-
out of Neon Genesis
how-
Evangelion, I'd said.
Like, you know how angels in the Bible were always going, be not afeared when they turn up to some poor peasant's house?
Mm.
It's because they all look like that.
Yeah. Don't be
Anyway.
afraid. Yes, I am afraid. Fuck off.
It's just like, don't be not afeared. Fear is a perfectly appropriate reaction. Oh god, yeah. Intestinal crank. Oh. Anyway, so I can't remember what was the first boss of Malika's Well.
Big golem thingy?
No, it wasn't. That was the second one.
Fuck.
No, the first boss was like this giant, like, you know the desert armadillos?
Oh
It was
yeah.
like a massive
Yes.
one of those.
Fuck melee uptime, the boss.
Ah. Hey, it wasn't quite as bad as Alphascape.
No, true.
Oh, I'm so glad I played Black Mage for that tier. I feel
Yeah.
sorry for our static samurai. You know it's bad when the Black Mage feels sorry for the melee.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna
Not
say
really
something
much.
really nasty there, but I won't.
Then so yeah, the first one was I know it wasn't a bad boss. It was quite a fun boss, but it wasn't necessarily a standout either. I think that's the issue.
Yeah.
That's the issue with everything in Shadowbringers being really good. Is everything? It's difficult for most of it to stand out.
Mm. But I think
but-
that the first boss there was kind of a letdown because it was basically just one of the new overworld mobs, a bit bigger, and
I mean,
Eh.
mechanically it wasn't. Mechanically it
No.
had like stacks, getaways. It dropped rocks from the ceiling. It would charge at players.
it was an active fight. I just
Yeah.
didn't like the whole.
Certainly was.
Now I'm gonna stomp my tail into the ground, and you have to run away from me, or you'll get fucked, basically. Well, yeah,
let me
you know.
See, there was the next
Construct
boss.
6.9.
The next boss is the bane of my fucking existence. I cannot have a smooth fight with that boss. It is just absolute. It's not even necessarily a particularly difficult boss. It's just I cannot have a smooth fight with that fucking boss. It's the amphibious Talos, and there's a reason why everyone's calling it Construct something or other.
Oh yeah, that
It's
fucker.
got the same like
Or Cuphead.
Buckethead. It doesn't have numbers, but it's got like the same stance as Construct 7,
Mm.
and its worst mechanic is the water spout burst from its chest, which is like Construct 7's laser, except it's worse because it gives you a vuln stack and it throws you back. And the
Yeah.
chances are it's going to throw you back into one of those giant water spouts, so you're going to take even more damage. And then because it throws you back, it makes dodging the next one significantly more difficult. Fuck that fight. It
Fuck
completely
it.
obliterates my uptime. And the other issue is that it's too. I believe when I first ran that, I didn't have Umbral Soul.
Oh. Oh, you weren't
No,
at the
I
level
didn't.
yet
No,
to get
I
it.
did have Umbral Soul, but again, Umbral Soul is not good for your uptime. It's just good for your.
Ah, okay.
Malachus. But no, the third one, the Light Warden, is fantastic. And you know how I mentioned that a lot of the attacks in Home Insta Switch are named after torture devices?
Oh.
Yeah.
Scourge continues that on. His main raid-wide AoE is called Intestinal Crank, and I'm not going to discuss exactly what it does because it's going to disgust everyone currently watching this podcast. When I found out what it did, it actually made me feel ill. But let's just say Intestinal Crank, that is a very, very literal thing.
I can imagine.
It's also got things like the Breaking Wheel is its get into its hitbox AoE. Heretic's Fork is its plus-shaped laser attack, and I already mentioned what the Heretic's Fork is.
Alexander mechanic.
Yeah, it's basically... Actually, no, it's worse, because it ricochets off of his wings. Because he drops his wings into the arena, which, by the way, those wings when they drop can hit you still, and they deal a fair bit of damage. And then the boss will either use Breaking Wheel, which requires you to get near the thing casting it, or Heretic's Fork, which causes it to shoot out a plus shape like lasers in all of the cardinal directions. When it uses that, the wings that it drops down will also use those in sequence as well. Which means that essentially, Scourge is a very fun and dynamic boss fight. Not quite as good as some of the other light ones, but very fun.
And then, the gear
Yeah,
from
no,
there
that's
I wasn't
Malik as
memorable
well.
at all, what I can remember.
Actually, the thing I like about Malik as well is gear is actually models taken from gathering outfits.
Oh,
Because it's a mine, so all of the stuff you're taking from there is miners' clothes.
yeah, makes sense. I don't think, like, we only ran that dungeon once or twice, and I don't think any, like, nice gear dropped. We mostly got, like, belts and gloves and stuff.
Let me see.
Then-
After Malik as well, you kill the Light Warden,
There's
and I believe this is the point where the Warrior of Light doesn't start to freak out.
Yeah.
it's
Before
like
he
the light
starts
starts.
getting sick.
The light starts exploding inside of you,
Yeah, this is where you realize that you can't hold in all light without getting.
And your stoner midfielder walk up to you and say, this needs to stop.
You
We
have a
to
problem,
continue with it.
Warrior of Light. You need to stop drinking all this light.
But you
and-
can't because things must the show must go on.
I think this comes into my favourite area of the game, story-wise. Next 2 levels.
I'm trying to.
Could we go into... Well, we go back to Crystarium and we talk about the final raid of Newmore.
Yes. So we return. We need to go back to you. And
Yes.
I've never been this enraged at this game.
So,
I was so angry.
So something we haven't brought up is that the entire time we have Wolfrey's airship flying over all the areas, Wolfrey saying, right, if you follow these guys, we are going to kill you.
Or just, come to Yulmore, join us, and everything would die chill boo.
Or live with us in perfect paradise, but if you side with Warrior of Darkness, you are going to die.